We got to know. Bring on the game. Like a freight train moving at the speed of light, like a knockout punch in a title fight. The Raiders want to silence the mile-high crowd. The Broncos aim to keep things nice and loud. You better be ready. You better get right. It's gonna be a rumble in the Rockies tonight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. We got Frank and Al and Deb. They're gonna get it started. Chris and Lynn are all set. The crowd is tight. All my rowdy fans are here on Monday night. Bring on the game. Now. Denver, Colorado, at the base of the Rockies on a beautiful late November evening. Temperature in the high 30s, a perfect night for football. Mile High Stadium sold out, and why not? The Oakland Raiders are in town to take on the Denver Broncos. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gibbert, Al Michaels, and Dan Deerdorf. Welcome to Mile High Stadium, and this is a great setting for tonight's matchup, the Raiders and the Broncos. These are longtime rivals, and the fans have turned out in force. And Broncos come into tonight having a good season, 9-2, but not quite knowing for sure where they are. They need a win tonight, however, to stay ahead of Kansas City in the AFC West. Meanwhile, the Raiders come in a disappointing 4-7, Al, and disappointing too in that you never really know a Raider team, what the kind of Raider team you're going to play. The one that beat the Denver Broncos 28-25 5 weeks ago, or the one that lost to New Orleans 2 weeks ago.
Inconsistent and disappointing. As you know, Frank, the Raider organization through the years has inundated us with these lofty slogans like commitment to excellence, pride and poise, the team of the decades, plural. The fact of the matter is, for a long time now, that's been a whole bunch of empty verbiage. Because this team right now is on the verge of not making the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year and for the 9th time in 12 years. And without doubt, they are the most underachieving team in the National Football League this year because they have tremendous talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball with people like Jeff George, Napoleon Kaufman, and Tim Brown. The big problem, though, has been defensively, where they are last in the league, 30th and last, going up against the number 1 offense in the Denver Broncos. The definition of pride and poise when you're 4-7 is showing up, not going belly up. Let's see what happens tonight with the Raiders against a team, the Denver Broncos, Dan, you know will be showing up.
Yeah, they have 9 out of the 11 games this season, Alan. Even their 2 losses were by a total of 5 points. But there are some things that the Denver Broncos would like to do better. Their offense in the red zone the last 4 weeks has been a little musty. What's happened is they've only scored 5 offensive touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. They've had to settle for 13 field goals. That hurt them last week in their loss to Kansas City, where they had to settle for 5 of those field goals and only 1 touchdown. Terrell Davis is on his way to 2,000 yards. He's got a shot at it, yet he's never had a 100-yard game against the Raiders. They've done a nice job of containing him. They'd like to break him loose tonight. And finally, defensively, they give up almost 5.25 yards per rushing attempt. That is the worst statistically in the National Football League. If they don't get better, Napoleon Kaufman will have a big night. It's an AFC West showdown at Mile High Stadium. This is good stuff. We'll be right back.
At Mile High Stadium, the Denver Broncos in regular season contests have a winning streak of 14 consecutive games. I'm Lynn Swan. Welcome to the sideline. Coach Mike Shanahan, you like to make that 15. In order to do that, you have to stop the march of Napoleon Kaufman, who got 227 yards against you the last time. How do you do that?
Well, you're right. He's a great back. It's going to be a big challenge to our defense. We've got to tackle a little bit better, play a little bit better technique than we did last time.
Coach, thank you very much. Good luck to you. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Beautiful. On a great night. Full house looking on, and we're ready for action. 2 original American Football League franchises. Vaughn Hebron averaging 26 yards per return. That's impressive. Back to receive Cole Ford to kick off for the Raiders. And here we go from Denver. Hebron fields at the 5. Up past the 20, and a good return out to the 36-yard line. So a guy averaging 26 per return brings this one back 32 yards. He's tackled by Calvin Branch. John Elway, the valedictorian of the great class of '83, #1 pick in the draft. And his career numbers with 268 touchdown passes. Terrell Davis, the great back. Griffith, the blocking back. Smith, the top wideout with McCaffrey on the other side. And Sharp, the tight end. Zimmerman, Diaz-Infante, Nalen, Habib, and Jones, the offensive line. Zimmerman retired before the season, came back. He was a right tackle, and then they moved him to the left side a couple of weeks ago. Elway over the middle on the first pass, incomplete, intended for Dwayne Carswell, who is a second tight end. 2nd down and 10. Up front for the Raiders, Darrell Russell, the youngest defensive player in the league. Maryland coming off his best game ever. McLaughlin and Smith up front. Fredrickson, Beekert, and Folston are the linebackers. And in the secondary, the veterans McDaniel and Lewis, and then the safeties Trapp and Eric Turner. Turner having a good year. Again, a double tight end set on 2nd down and 10 with McCaffrey in motion and Davis the sole back. Elway with that short drop, and this pass is through the hands of Rod Smith. Coming into the game, their leading receiver. He's caught 50.
Interesting, too, with the AFC's leading rusher in the backfield, Terrell Davis. Denver comes out throwing the football in the first 2 plays, trying, I think, to keep the Raiders from moving 8 men right up to the front of the line of scrimmage to stop Davis. Just letting the Raiders know that we can throw the football. We will throw the football. Pretty catchable ball there for Rod Smith.
3rd down and 10. They bring in an extra receiver. That's Willie Green, split to the left. Blitz. Elway pressured. Elway sacked at the 26-yard line by Lance Johnstone, the backup defensive end. And John Elway has been sacked more times than any quarterback in history. That's 494. And so Joe Bugle's team, his defensive unit, creates a 3-and-out, and Tom Ruin into punt.
And this is similar to what happened with the Raiders' win in Oakland. They were able to put some pressure on John Elway, and that time John got a little bit of a look downfield, but Johnstone beating his guy to the inside all over Elway way too quickly.
Elway 6 sacks last week by Kansas City.
Pretty miserable opening 3 plays for Denver.
Desmond Howard back to receive in the mile-high altitude. A booming kick. Howard backs up, and the one-time Heisman Trophy winner takes it from the 18 back to the 26, and there's a marker down.
Yeah, the marker is back at the line of scrimmage.
Mike Carey is the ref.
Well, now again, this is going to depend, is this pre or post kick? If this is before the ball was kicked, this is going to give Denver a 1st down.
You saw Rick Dennison, the Denver special teams coach, anxiously awaiting this call, as is Joe Bugle.
The way the officials are moving, it appears to have been post-possession.
Carey's mic not working, but clearly a post-possession foul. Assessed after the run back, and Mike Shanahan's defensive unit comes out, and Desmond Howard took a shot at the end of that play, and that's Desmond being attended to along the Raiders sideline.
And Desmond was going to see some playing tonight in the Raiders offensive sets as their 3rd wide receiver. Joe Bugle telling us that he plans on giving Howard an opportunity to catch the ball. Oh, he took a shot right in the back from Alan Aldridge.
And Anthony Lynn came in at the end as the Raiders take over at the 9-yard line. Oakland's first play of the night. Jeff George throws and completes it up to the 21-yard line to James Jett, having a great year with 10 touchdown receptions, covered and tackled by Darian Gordon. So Jeff George, whose college career was at Purdue in Illinois, and his pro career has been with Indianapolis, Atlanta, and now in his first season with Oakland. Kaufman, the running back, with Harvey Williams. Jett and Brown outside. Dudley, the tight end, and he's emerged. Harlow, Wisniewski, Robbins, Holmes, and Kennedy up front. Wisniewski, a perennial Pro Bowler. 1st down from the 21-yard line. And Kaufman, who ran for 227 yards when Oakland beat Denver on October 19th, picks up 6 here to the 27. Braxton and Aldridge make the stop. Here's the Denver defense. Neil Smith, the ex-chief. Traylor, the ex-chief. Tanavasas come on, and Alfred Williams up front. Mobley, Aldridge, and Romanowski, the linebackers. Mobley really emerging. Crockett and Gordon are the corners. Braxton, in that order, are the safeties.
Tanavasa came limping off the field after that last play. The defensive tackle for Denver. They're thin on the defensive line. They can't afford to lose him.
And Trevor Price, their first-round draft choice, number 93, replaces him on 2nd down and 4. Kaufman swings to the outside to avoid a loss and takes it up to the 36, tackled by Braxton. One thing Kaufman does, he runs sideways a lot, thus he loses yardage a lot, unlike Terrell Davis. And you can see there the plus and minus of that. He almost got stopped in the backfield.
And he gets away from a guy, Frank, that you don't see it very often. Steve Atwater, one of the fine free safeties in the NFL, has a clean shot at Kaufman and gets nothing.
Atwater right up the line of scrimmage. We'll see a lot of him tonight. But the reason he does that, Al, he has great speed, great quickness. And when he gets to the outside, he can break off a big one. And he's done it 8 times. He's had runs of over 40 yards this year.
9-yard pickup and a first down for Oakland. George, great protection. Going deep, but too deep. Intended for the tight end Ricky Dudley, but covered well by Bill Romanowski. The linebacker staying right with the emerging tight end as Tanavasa hobbles along the sideline.
But you cannot ask Bill Romanowski to stay with Ricky Dudley. Ricky Dudley has terrific speed. He has a bunch of catches over 20 yards this season, and if you keep a linebacker on him, he's going to rip you up all night. Romanowski, number 53, the linebacker, does a good job here, but if you leave him in this kind of coverage much this evening, you're going to see a lot of Dudley.
Caught a shot of Michael Dean Perry. He is inactive tonight, has been for a couple of weeks, will be for a couple of more. That's significant in light of Tanavasa's gimpy leg. George on 2nd down, a little shovel pass to Harvey Williams as a safety valve, and Romanowski is the first man to get there as they again work on Tanavasa. Harvey Williams, a guy last week in San Diego, touched the ball 7 times, scored 4 touchdowns.
Before that, he had been a tight end, and but he's had experience there. He's a 1,000-yard rusher a couple of years ago, and from the running back position, so he's at home back there.
A pair of them on the ground, a pair of them with receptions, and Tanavasa's on his way into the Denver locker room. Almost certainly on his way to be x-rayed.
3rd and 14 now. 3.5 minutes into the game in Denver with no score. Deep drop, pressure, throws it away.
Boy, that's going to get a
for
flag,
grounding, and here it comes.
He was not outside of the area where he could throw the ball like that.
A very late flag, but a correct one.
They call it the tackle box, and what it means is from tackle to tackle, draw a line all the way back. You can draw it all the way back to Kansas City. If you're inside that box and throw it away, it's grounding.
Good coverage on the part of the Broncos. You saw Tanavasa going into the locker room, and here's our call. We're not going to be able to hear it yet, but it's rather obvious that he was throwing the ball away. He's not outside of that tackle box that Al just described.
Yeah, it's a tackle on one side, the tight end on the other, and they watched that pretty closely, and it's where they start, not where they end up, and as you can see, Jeff George only a step or 2 away from the center line of the pocket.
Darian Gordon has returned 3 punts for touchdowns this season. His punt return average the highest in the NFL this year and the highest in history.
That's just quietly a record. I mean, some of the great players, Zach Christensen, you think of him, he has broken their marks. They're in the Hall of Fame.
Leo Aragus to punt. Gordon returned 2 in 1/4 against Carolina a couple of weeks back. Nearly blocked, contact made, but no flag. Gordon from the 30-yard line. The ex-Charger swings to the outside and gets ridden down at the 35-yard line by James Folston. Dwayne Carswell coming close to blocking the punt. 10:52 left in the first in Denver. Great rivalry resuming. Oakland and Denver, no score.
For those of you that were wondering why Carswell wasn't flagged for running into the kicker, he would have been, except Leo Aragus jumps out of the way. He gets out of the way, Carswell goes right underneath him, and Aragus lands on top of him, and that was a nice job by Kerry, the referee, of not throwing the flag. He did not run into him.
Now the Broncos were 3 and out on their first possession. And they give it to Terrell Davis, and he is stopped back to the line of scrimmage. James Trapp comes up from the secondary to knock him down. Loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Tanavasa getting x-rayed in the report from the bench, lower right leg injury. And as Dan mentioned, they are really thin along that defensive front right now.
Well, Tanavasa got the chance to play because of Michael Dean Perry being declared inactive the last month or so. And boy, has he come along, 8.5 sacks to lead this ball club. And boy, you hate to have almost 9 sacks in the locker room.
Now Davis almost gets tackled in the backfield and turns the loss into a short gain. Takes it up to the 39-yard line. Anthony Smith penetrated but couldn't stop him. Denver will be 3rd and long.
Denver going back to what got them here, and look at Terrell Davis through the first 11 games, 1,400 yards, leading in the AFC. But in the first offensive series for Denver, he did not get a carry, and they are going back to what has made them offensively first in the National Football League coming into this game, and that's running the football.
I don't think the 2 incompletions and a sack were quite what they had in mind for that first series.
3rd down and 7. Elway from the gun. Elway going deep down the sideline and incomplete. Willie Green, the ex-Carolina Panther, covered by Perry Carter and covered well. 4th down. John is now Elway 0 for 3, and the Broncos 3 and out twice.
And not doing much of anything with quality field position here.
That's just defensive play by Willie Green, avoiding the interception. Good positioning by Perry Carter. And Green just making sure it wasn't picked off.
So this start not going according to Hoyle. The #1 offense in the league, Denver. The worst defense in the league, Oakland. And yet Denver's run 6 plays, no first downs. Tom ruined a punt, their second kick of the night. Howard back to receive it, calls for a fair catch, and holds it in at the 18-yard line. That's where the Raiders take over with 9:24 to go in the opening quarter at Mile High Stadium. Oakland nothing, Denver nothing. Always a treat. Thanksgiving weekend. Saturday, you'll see the Skins game, and Tiger Woods will be there along with Tom Lehman, Mark O'Meara, and Fred Couples. And then on Monday night, and of course the Skins game will follow college football on Saturday here on ABC, and a great one coming up from the Metrodome. We'll be there next Monday night in Minneapolis. The Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football.
And I'm open for accepting congratulations anytime this evening. Anytime either one of you two want to pass it along for my alma mater. Anytime.
Michigan going to a bowl game?
I've heard that they might.
We were waiting until we could get time to work with it.
That's right. Oakland from the 18-yard line on 1st and 10. Kaufman thrown for a loss back at the 11-yard line. And again, we talked about it during the last series with Aldridge penetrating and Alfred Williams coming in. Kaufman gets thrown for a loss proportionately more than any other feature back in the league.
Well, he's a skitterish runner with great quickness. We talked about it a short while ago, and great confidence in his quickness and speed. And he's going to lose yardage on many occasions, but when he could get around a corner and turn on the speed, he's going to get big yardage for you. I don't think they criticize him too much for it.
Very Sanderish in that sense.
Exactly. Great comparison. 2nd down and 16. Pressure on. Everybody coming, and so George has to scramble and throws against the grain, intended for Jett and incomplete. Alfred Williams putting the pressure on again.
You know, that comparison between Kaufman and Sanders is very real. Kaufman leads the league, with 8 carries of 40 or more yards, and Barry Sanders has 7. Yet nobody else in the league has more than 3. So they specialize in the big runs, and to get big runs, sometimes you have to take chances.
I'm a real Kaufman fan, but I'm not ready to put him right with Barry Sanders yet.
I'm just talking about his gambling, Frank.
You're right.
You know, he'll risk losing yards to try to make a big play.
What a day for Barry Sanders yesterday.
3rd down and 16 from the 12. No score as we approach the halfway mark of the first quarter, and George throws, and it's dropped by Harvey Williams. 4th and 16.
And I don't think Harvey was going anywhere, even if he made the catch. Bill Romanowski was all over him. Talk about a guy that seldom makes a mistake, who's always where he's supposed to be. This 10th-year veteran from Boston College, Romanowski, this guy is a professional.
Oh, and Harvey Williams didn't even get his hands on that one, trying to catch that in the chest, figuring he was going to get a shot, and doesn't handle it. Denver again set up for good field position.
Leo Aragus to punt. Darian Gordon to return it. This time Gordon calls for a fair catch on the Oakland side of the field.
And Denver and Elway take over at the 47, still looking for their first down. 8:24 left in the quarter on a sparkling night in Denver. John Tierlink, the defensive line guru, going over things with his group as Denver's offense takes over at the Oakland 47, looking for their first down. No score. And on 1st and 10, Elway flings one over the middle, guns it to Shannon Sharp, the tight end of the 27-yard line. Sharp's 45th catch of the season, tackled by Eric Turner.
And Frank, there's the matchup they wanted.
Against the linebacker, Beekert is no way he's going to stay with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp is in your program as a tight end, but he's like a wide receiver. They try to cover him with the middle linebacker right there, number 54, and that just won't happen.
No, Beekert was beaten on the very first step that Sharp made to the inside.
If he's going to do anything, he's got to force him to the outside.
20-yard gain to the 27. Elway slings this one again to Shannon Sharp.
Again, Beekert on the coverage.
Got about 6 on the play.
Beeker's going into that huddle, Dan, said, hey, I need a little help on this guy.
Yeah, Greg, as the middle linebacker, he gets some alternative, doesn't he? Either cover Shannon Sharp in a passing play or try to tackle Terrell Davis on a running play. Nice change of pace. Just a simple route to the outside, a 4-yard break off by Shannon Sharp.
Had it been a little of a lead, it would have been a first down.
5-yard gain, and it is 2nd down and 5, and they go back to the ground with Davis for a first down inside the 15, the 10. A flag is down, and Davis gets to the 1. There's a flag down at the 22.
Most certainly holding.
Howard Griffith threw the block to spring Davis, but it's going to come back. Mike Carey, the ref.
Mark Schlereth, the normal left guard for the Denver Broncos, has had another operation, his 20th.
Holding on the offense, number 63, 10 yards, 2nd down.
And his replacement is number 63, David Diaz-Infante, and he's the one flagged for the hold. He has started a couple games earlier this year over at right guard, but now he's at left guard filling in for Schlereth, who hopefully will be back for the Broncos for the playoffs. And Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, hates to see that one brought back.
Well, he'll line up mostly tonight against Chester McLaughlin or Russell, Maryland, and they're pretty formidable.
Slot left on 2nd down and 15 with McCaffrey now coming in motion the other way. Elway throws, and he tried to jam it into the tight end Carswell, but broken up by James Folsom.
Well, Frank, it's a game of hit or be hit, right? And Carswell decided, I guess I'm going to hit you if you're going to try to hit me.
Well, Carswell goes about 60 pounds, up 260, and he can put a hitting on you.
Watch the end of this play when the ball goes over Carswell's head. All of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to get hit.
That was James Trapp stepping in, and he took a shot from the 260-pound Carswell.
Makes it 3rd down and 15 now from the shotgun. No score, 6:41 remaining in the quarter. And it's going to be 3rd down and 20 now.
5 yards. It remains 3rd down.
Well, I'll tell you, for the number 1 offensive team in the NFL coming into this game, they are getting off to a very slow start.
Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. Microsoft, where do you want to go today? And Lucent Technologies, we make the things that make communications work.
John saw the clock counting down, and yet, you know, that was a costly 5 yards in terms of a field goal.
3rd and 20 now. And he's looking for Smith, who makes a great catch at the 10. And now all of a sudden, belatedly, the officials say incomplete. He thought he had it. He was hit by McDaniel, and the officials all stood in a triangle and looked at each other and then finally waved it off.
Rod Smith had it momentarily, and Terry McDaniel really put a hit on him. 10-year veteran, 32-year-old cornerback, and they've got some old guys playing back there. They're pretty cagey, too, and they're very wise in their timing. Just pulling it in. There's McDaniel. Smith can't handle it.
You must come down and put both feet on the ground and demonstrate that you have possession of the football. The side judge was quick to come in and rule that Rod Smith did not have possession of the ball.
This the 5-yard penalty you spoke of a moment ago, Dan. They're going to have to punt instead of try a field goal.
It was 2nd and 5 at the 22 at one point. Now Tom Ruin floats one. Howard lets it bounce at the 6, and the Broncos will down it at about the 3-yard line. Rick Dennison, special teams coach, happy about that. Oakland pinned deep, 6:23 left in the quarter. 0-0.
Oakland very fortunate that Denver hasn't scored with their starting field position, but boy, they've had to start in the hole every time.
Now they start from their own 4-yard line. And Napoleon Coffin picks up 2. They started their drives from the 9, the 18, and now the 4.
Where you measure the success of this drive in first downs, not necessarily points. Just a couple of first downs lets you maybe make Denver start on their own side of the 50-yard line. Denver started from their own 37, their 36, and the Raider 47.
2nd and 8. Neil Smith is out of the game along the defensive front. And you've got a good play fake by George and a flag thrown as Dudley makes the catch at the 27-yard line, pending the penalty. Mike Carey's crew has been fairly busy in the first quarter. And this is defensive holding against the Raiders and an automatic first down. And a declination of the call as well, because the play gained a lot more than the penalty. So a penalty against the Broncos, and there's Tanuvasa coming back out.
Ricky Dowdy has turned into a superb tight end, at least a receiving tight end. He's got 14 passes of 20 or more yards. He can get deep downfield, and the hands that were so bad a year ago are pretty good now.
1st and 10, and now Harvey Williams, and George has to look behind him. The play clock down to 5, and the Raiders, who used all of their timeouts in the first quarter last week against San Diego, have to spend one here with 5:20 left in the opening period.
Williams moving to a new position from tight end to the running back, and they get a flag.
NFL on ABC Sports. And the aerial photography tonight provided by Goodyear as you take a look at a great shot of downtown Denver sparkling on this fabulous late November night. We said it last week. When we saw this game on the schedule, we didn't know whether it would be 4 or 64.
And just west of here, the skiing is absolutely fabulous. Maybe the best skiing in the world, but the snow has come early. And it's great in the Rockies.
After the Oakland timeout, first down, and George, I think, tripped on his own man's foot. Loose ball at the 21-yard line, and the Raiders apparently have recovered it.
Usually when that happens, the center has stepped back on his quarterback's foot.
Well, Barrett Robbins, the center, was giving ground, and he was in a retreat. Normally your quarterback is quicker than the center getting out of there.
That's 315 pounds when he comes down on it.
Yeah, Mike Lodish is over the top of Robbins. He gives him a pretty good shot.
He just knocked him out of there.
That's a little awkward looking, isn't it?
It's credited as a sack, and it's 2nd down and 14, and they give the ball to Kaufman, and he gets out to the 38-yard line for a first down. The leading ground gainer in the history of the University of Washington.
Yeah, and he carries the ball a lot for the Raiders. He is their number 1 running back, and now for the Broncos, Steve Atwater is slow getting up. Their Pro Bowl strong safety who actually plays much like a linebacker against a running team like the Raiders.
And right now, I would imagine a lot of throats here in Denver are starting to get a little constricted as more and more people are falling out defensively for this football team that doesn't play the run very well anyway. And now Steve Atwater comes out of lineup. Tanuvasa is banged up. Neil Smith has a bad tricep. Michael Dean Perry's on the sideline.
Well, and you would think, looking at Atwater, his right shoulder has something to do with his right arm. There's little or no movement in that right arm.
And Tony Veland, a seldom used defensive back, a first-year player from Nebraska,
free agent acquisition takes over for Atwater.
When you lose Atwater, what you lose is just not only a good, strong safety, but a good run stuffer. He plays right up on the line of scrimmage.
And 1st and 10 from the 37. No score, 4:18 to go in the period. Coffin swings to the outside, turns the corner, gets run out of bounds by Alfred Williams at the 46-yard line. See, that's just the type of move we were talking about earlier, that sometimes will get Napoleon Kaufman caught in his own backfield.
Well, it almost did, but Romanowski, who is a great, sure tackler, I mean, he just mistimed it. And now Romanowski is coming off the field. He appears to be injured. Let's take a look again. Play goes to the right. The zone blocking to the right, Dan, looking for the cutback, but not this kind of a cutback.
And that's just speed on the part of Napoleon Kaufman to get outside and beat Romanowski to the corner. And again, another Denver defender is on the bench. Bill Romanowski is down. Glenn Cadrez is in. Play clock down to a deuce. And on 2nd and 3, they give the ball to Tim Hall, who backs up Kaufman when Napoleon needs a rest, as you look at Romanowski. And with him gone, Braxton makes the tackle. And for Tim Hall, that's only his 14th carry in this, the 12th game of the season.
Well, I think the entire team only has about 30 carries other than Napoleon Kaufman. He is the load man.
And his longest gain, 15 yards. Let's go back and look at Bill Romanowski as he dives. He just landed awkwardly.
I'm kind of embarrassed about it.
Yeah, it's hard to see where there was any big injury or serious injury there. Well, they're going to go back to Tim Hall again, who gained 15 on the prior play, gets 3 here. Tackled after a gain of 3. And Coffin now, after getting a blow for 2 plays, comes back in. Mike Shanahan talking to the head linesman. Mike, you'll recall in 1988, the very young head coach, a shocking choice by Al Davis to coach the Raiders, lasted that season and 4 games into the 89 season and was fired. Then came back to Denver as an assistant, to the 49ers as an assistant, and now in his 3rd year here as the head man. 2nd down and 8, back to Kaufman they go, and Napoleon loses yardage at the 43-yard line. John Mobley led the charge.
Mobley turned it all to the inside. He had good pursuit from the inside. There was nowhere Kaufman could go that time. He could not take it back to the inside. Good pursuit on the part of the Denver defense. That's what you really have to do to take away Kaufman. You have to pursue along that line of scrimmage. They try to give him a gap and let him just burst through it, and you just have to slide along with the offensive line and take away their gaps.
And somebody, Frank, always has to stay home. Somebody always has to be there, alert for the cutback. 3rd down 12 from the Denver 43, no score. George protected well, fires too high, intended for Harvey Williams, and he gets slung down out of bounds by Tyrone Braxton. Slung, the past tense of sling, I guess.
Sounded good.
Yep.
But that's what he did.
He looked slung to me.
He did. He also slinged him pretty good. Braxton with good coverage, and Jeff George with a lot of time to throw the football. That was just good coverage across the field for Denver.
Well, at least the Raiders have accomplished something. This drive started at their 4-yard line. They're going to force the Broncos to start deep in their territory if Araguz is able to pin them back. Contact at the line of scrimmage, flag down. Araguz sends one down to the goal line and into the end zone. But there was contact, there was movement along the line. Who first? This play was a 4th and 12. So even if it's against the Broncos, it's still a 4th and 7. Well, I think Denver was certainly across the line of scrimmage, and they weren't drawn. So it's them, and it's 4th down and 7 now. Rick Dennison, the special teams coach of the Denver Broncos, expressing his displeasure. They're still not in field goal range in reality. Carries work, Mike not working in reality, and Joe Bugle looks on, and he'll leave Araguz in the game.
Not too far. Cole Ford has hit one from 53 yards this year.
And whatever your range is, you can tack on 2 or 3 yards in Denver. No, but it gives Araguz another chance. Denver would have started at the 20 because of the touchback. Now they give him another chance to get it inside the 20.
And for Araguz, this is the better place to be kicking from. This is just about where he would like to kick from, his pooch kick.
That's about as dumb a kick as what was that? That didn't even bounce in the end zone. That was behind the end zone. That was an Araguz.
For style points, it was great. For effectiveness,
Leo,
not good.
Leo, Rusty Tillman got to be considering knocking old Leo upside the head.
What was there, a gain of about 20 yards there?
Whoa. Here is tonight's Home Depot coaches fact. The youngest head coaches in the league, Jeff Fisher of the resurgent Oilers, now 6-6, still 39 years old. And then Bill Cowher, amazingly just 40. Steve Mariucci in his first year, fabulous job, 42. Tony Dungy, 42. And Mike Shanahan, 45 years old, the 5th youngest coach in the league. Some of the old guys that are struggling. First down from the 20-yard line. Elway fires over the middle, and it's caught by Shannon Sharp. His 3rd grab of the night, a gain of 22. Eric Turner makes the stop.
Well, that time they didn't even cover Shannon Sharp. They've been covering him with a linebacker, so that wasn't too effective, so they tried with not covering him at all. He just came totally free. I don't think Elway could believe that he wasn't covered at all. This was a unusual defense for the Raiders in the sense they looked like they were sitting back there in some kind of a zone, and they don't like to play zone.
The off safety on that play, Frank James trapped way late and coming back over to the middle of the field. He left a big hole in the middle. Elway's completed 3 passes tonight, all to Sharp. Back to Terrell Davis on the ground. Davis to the 44. Terrell Davis is on a pace right now to gain more than 2,000 yards. The record held by Eric Dickerson in 1984, set by Dickerson, 21:05. Davis is on a pace right now for 2,036. That's if he knocks off 120 yards or so on the way out. That won't come easily against the Raiders. He's never had a 100-yard game against Oakland.
Doesn't seem to be in their game plan either. And they opened up in their very first series. He didn't even carry the football, and he carried it 27 times last week. What was it, 34 times last week against Kansas City.
3 carries tonight for 5. Elway, who's 3 of 8, under pressure, throws, and that is out of bounds. Ed McCaffrey, the nearest intended receiver. With 7 ticks left in the first quarter.
Good coverage downfield. John just throwing that ball away. Hard to believe this Raider defense, when you look at the personnel, 30th and last in the National Football League, 28th against the run, 29th against the pass. It's just hard to figure.
Fred Whittingham under fire as the defensive coordinator. Of course, it goes without saying, you'll be under fire if you have the worst ranked defense in the league, no matter who you are or where you are. 3rd down and 8. Blitz. Elway hangs in there, throws, completes it. Rod Smith, in the first quarter will end with a Denver conversion and a first down to the Raider 37-yard line.
Broncos burn the Oakland blitz. It's the first time they've come with the blitz. They get burned.
End of 1, no score. Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC station. The Broncos, Denver, Colorado, Mile High Stadium. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan. We begin the second quarter. The Raiders and the Broncos. The great traditional rivalry continues. No score. 1st and 10, Denver at the Oakland 37-yard line. The second quarter begins with a little shovel pass to Terrell Davis, who takes it to the 29 for a gain of 8. Stopped there by Beekert. 2nd down and 2 for Denver.
Broncos staying with their 2 tight end offense pretty much throughout the entire first quarter. And it's been very effective. Gets the points up there. Let's take a look at the stats for the first quarter. Relatively close. No turnovers.
What's not reflected in those statistics is that Denver had fabulous field position the entire first quarter. Oakland had terrible field position, and Denver did not capitalize. And Denver was limited to 5 yards on the ground, and here is Davis, and he Picks up a first down on a 2nd and 2. Tackled by Anthony Smith to the 25-yard line. First down, Broncos.
Well, Denver changing up that time. No tight ends. They come in with the 2 setbacks, 3 wide receivers, and Oakland spread the field, and you get good yardage with the run.
What the Raiders have, rather the Broncos have offensively, guys, is just this tremendous confidence that comes with looking at number 7 and looking at number 30 and knowing they can move the football against anybody. They may struggle early. They may have a couple bad series. They know they'll move it.
Here's Davis again. And stopped again this time. James Trapp led the charge. No gain.
That was an unusual looking run for Terrell Davis, who looked like he had a hole back up the middle, Frank, and didn't take it. Normally, this is a guy that lowers it and goes.
A little bit of hesitation, Dan. I think you're right, and he's looking up to the big screen to see the hole that he thought was there that wasn't there.
Something confused Terrell Davis. This is a guy who makes snap decisions, and he goes.
And it's usually north and south.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Davis in motion. So nobody in the backfield as Elway slips. Gets back up. Takes it to the 20-yard line. Tackled there by Albert Lewis. The two have made each other's acquaintance for years and years and years. Albert in his 15th season and John in his 15th year.
And even in his advancing years, 15 years now in the league, John Elway hates to slide. Yeah, he really hates it. It's just against his nature. He's so competitive.
He eschewed the hook slide and went with the Gus Frerotte head first slide. All quarterbacks now who lead with their head, I think, will be compared to Gus Frerotte.
Led with his head against the wall last night. Took himself out of the game for Washington, but will practice tomorrow and will start on Sunday. McCaffrey makes the catch. He was across the line for a first.
Whoa.
Let's see where they spot it, and they're going to bring it back.
So much for forward progress. Well, now we're getting another spot.
Yeah.
Now we got 2 spots going on over here.
Meanwhile, Lewis made the play, and he is shaken. They are still shy of the first down.
Well, they're still sliding that ball forward.
John's over there giving it a little nudge, taking a long look. The decision, of course, are we going to go for this or are we going to kick it?
This ball is now about 3.5 yards towards the goal line from where it was originally spotted.
Take a look. See for yourself. McCaffrey there. His forward progress stops when he's hit by Lewis. So the mark, a pretty good one, and the Broncos with Terrell Davis are going to go on 4th down and short.
Yeah, where the ball is right now is a good spot.
They come up in the I formation. Howard Griffith is the blocking back. Davis is the tailback. Elway fakes the sneak, tosses it back to Davis, and he gets tackled at the 15 by Beekert and Frederickson. So a little trickery and deceit, and it doesn't pay off.
Well, he got more out of it than he should have, but he's not going to get the first down.
And they turn it over on downs. Raiders hold, still no score.
For Gary Kubiak, back to the drawing board.
There's the primetime lineup tomorrow on ABC. Grace Under Fire, the season premiere. Soul Man, Home Improvement, Spin City, and NYPD Blue. Tuesday night on ABC. Oakland at the 16 after taking over on downs, and it's Kaufman for a couple up to the 18-yard line. Harold Hasselback makes the tackle.
Remember, John slipped a couple times, dropping back into pass protection. Elway getting his cleats changed. He had longer cleats put on, and
earlier, Dan, we saw him put on a thermal undershirt. So John, not comfortable tonight, and the Denver offense is kind of reflecting John's attitude.
I'll say, Frank.
2nd and 8. Tim Brown has been a non-figure in this game through the first 15 minutes. Their leading receiver. Haven't called his name once. George, well, the minute you say it, he goes for him, but it was tipped by John Mobley at the line of scrimmage. Tim Brown, who has caught 68 passes this season. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Katera, the caddy that zigs. Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. And Hewlett-Packard, the power of imaging now belongs to people. Hewlett-Packard, expanding possibilities.
That was a nice play by John Mobley, who is the most active player on the Denver defense. Big Chester McLaughlin checks out the pictures from above, but John Mobley is a guy, he is a sideline-to-sideline player for Denver.
Desmond Howard is in the game as the extra receiver. George on 3rd and 8 throws, and he hits Tim Brown. So Brown had been the silent man through 20 minutes, and now they go to him twice and pick up the first down here. Darian Gordon makes the stop on Brown's 69th reception of the season.
Well, they must have had an interlink to you, because you're right. He didn't get a call. Now he gets 2 in a row, and he gets the first down. And Jeff George has spread the football around to a lot of different receivers from what they were a year ago. And Tim Brown, even though he is the leading receiver in the opening game of the season, he had 3 touchdown passes against Tennessee. He's only had 1 since then.
Can't drop it in any better than Jeff George did right there.
Well, Jeff George loves to spread it around.
From the 32-yard line. And over the middle to the appropriately named James Jett, who lost the football at the 48. Live football. Denver has it. Tyrone Braxton takes it back to the 39-yard line. Ray Crockett stripped it. James Jett caught it. Denver with a turnover.
Crockett having a superb year at the corner, and Jett loses the football right at midfield.
Boy, he took about 3 steps after he made the catch. Unfortunately for Jett, he did demonstrate that he had possession. Crockett got the right hand on the ball. Braxton there to pick it up and go.
To go and watch number 39 Ray Crockett come in, slap the ball away. It purely a fumble, very close, but a good call by the official. It was a fumble.
And now the Broncos take over at the Oakland 40-yard line. Elway buys time over the middle, and an unbelievable catch by McCaffrey.
He's 6'5", and he used all of it. And what a shot by Elway. In between 2 defenders, McCaffrey at 6'5" was able to come down with it. Former Giant, a former 49er, and came here with Mike Shanahan, who has a lot of faith in McCaffrey.
John gets fabulous pass protection, gets a chance to really step into the throw, and look where he delivers that football, and look at the extension by Ed McCaffrey to make the catch. The Raiders took a timeout, I believe.
One Stanford man to another. Jett gives up the ball, and now Denver tries to cash in. Heat is on the line. Brett Favre and the Packers meet the Minnesota Vikings on ABC's Monday Night Football. Bring on the game now!
Forgive my offensive lineman's prejudice, but look at that pocket that John Elway was able to stand in to throw that ball downfield, Frank.
And my wide receiver prejudice, what a great catch by McCaffrey. Again, he's 6'5", and he used every inch of it. But Elway throwing between the 2 defenders, Trapp and Albert Lewis, and he was right there. But it goes right back to the protection. He had a world of time to throw it.
So after a Raider timeout, their second, 1st and goal, Denver from the 5 in a scoreless game. Terrell Davis, his 7th carry of the night, and they bottled him up. At this time, he gets about halfway to the goal line, a pickup of a couple. Mike Shanahan, the offensive mastermind, 2nd and goal. Even though Gary Kubiak is the offensive coordinator, it's basically Shanahan calling the plays.
And that will never change.
And Kubiak, of course, calling the play in from the sidelines. Came with Mike Shanahan from San Francisco. And, of course, earlier in his career, played behind John Elway for a lot of years, went down to Texas A&M, and one day he's going to make a fine head coach.
Wayne Carswell, a very late arrival to the Denver huddle.
2nd and goal. Back to Davis. Touchdown, Denver. Mile High salute.
Corner Pat Bowlen. I'm sure more than a little concerned with the early showing of the Denver offense.
Nice block on the left side by Gary Zimmerman, left tackle. Diaz Infante, the left guard. Nailing at center. That was a good drive for the Denver offensive line. Look at that surge. They're just shoving all the white shirts back into the end zone.
This one goes back to a James Jett turnover at midfield.
Elam for the point after. Terrell Davis with his 10th rushing touchdown of the season. 8:25 left in the half. Denver 7, Oakland. Friday
Saturday college doubleheader here on ABC the day after Thanksgiving, 11 a.m. Eastern, Texas A&M, and then 2:30 Eastern, Colorado, Nebraska. We go to Minneapolis next Monday night, a beauty. The Packers and the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Elam kicking off, taking a yard into the end zone by Desmond Howard. Up to the 17-yard line. Well, gents, last year the Broncos, if anything, clinched maybe a little early, and they weren't as sharp as they could have been, and lost that opening playoff game to Jacksonville. This year, it'll go a lot closer down to the wire for them.
Of course, we'll see him, in 3 weeks against the San Francisco 49ers. And I think you're right, though. Kansas City staying right with them. Kansas City had a good chance to lose one to Seattle yesterday. They won a tough one up there, and they're going to be there right to the wire.
Something tells me that this is a decision that Mike Shanahan maybe wouldn't have wanted to have made again. What he would do with those last 3 games like he had to do last year. I think you're better off having to play some competitive football right down to the end. From the 16-yard line, Jeff George throws, and it is dropped at the 19. The irony is that there is a coach who might have that same problem in the league, and that's Steve Mariucci, whose team is on the verge of clinching everything. And it's not exactly going to have a wealth of background information to fall back on. Mariucci's never been in this position before. It's all going to be new to him, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles it.
One thing about him, he'll talk to a lot of people. He never lets that ego get in front of him, and I think he's going to go into a pretty good situation. He's going to handle well. He's handled everything else well.
Yeah, he sure has. Second down 10. They won 11 straight. And on second and 10 on the ground up to the 20-yard line goes Napoleon Hoffman, tackled there by Harold Hasselback.
But I agree with you, Dan. This is an emotional game. It's a game that's played from the heart, and you've got to keep it up. You just can't let it get away from you. You can't put it on the shelf and then go back and get it.
Take a look at the drive starts for Oakland here. How deep in their own territory, and the result, punt, fumble in this half. Well, they've got 3 outstanding football players in Kaufman and in Tim Brown and in Jeff George. Offensively, get it to these guys as often as you can. Third down 6. So up there was a flinch. Pat Harlow, the left tackle. The crowd noise gets an assist here.
Before the snap, there was a false start on the offense. Number 77. 5 yards remains. Third down.
Raiders have led the league in penalties in each of the last 4 years. This year, they've committed fewer, but they still rank 6th. And over the years, how many times have we seen teams struggle here at Mile High Stadium, especially the offensive tackles and getting the snap count. And here goes the decibel meter again. And in the closed end of the stadium. Third down and 11 from the 15 with Jet in motion. They have to get to the 27 to convert, and they're 5 yards shy. Brown makes the catch. 4th down and 5. Ray Crockett with the tackle. Ray Crockett just smothering that pattern. He is there the exact instant the ball arrives. Tim Brown did a nice job just holding on to it, but Ray Crockett all over that quick slant.
Another big play by Crockett. He's having a great year along with Darian Gordon, who filled in at the right cornerback when Torrey James got hurt in preseason. And they have had good cornerback play from both players. And now Gordon back to receive the kick. Araguz sends it up into the thin air. Gordon from the 27 with no blocking. 3 Raiders down there quickly, led by Aaron Wallace. First down Oakland from the 29. Now let's take a look at some NFL news brought to us by Budweiser. Mike Ditka recants his comments yesterday when he said that, he might quit. Today he said, nope, they'll have to run me out of town. He'll remain as the head coach. And tune in next week.
Yeah, tune in. Because he has Billy Joe Hobart, who was the guy who didn't show up, wasn't prepared for the game in Buffalo, and cut there. He'll start for the Saints. Jeff Christie out for the season with a broken ankle. That hurts the Vikings, obviously, in the middle of the line. And Leon Lett of the Cowboys, gone for a year because of the violation of the substance abuse policy, cleared to play for Dallas beginning December the 8th, the defensive tackle. Elway now on first down, wide open
to Shannon Sharp at the 47, first down.
They don't cover Shannon Sharp once again. Early in the first quarter, they were trying to cover him with the linebacker, and they're playing some kind of unusual zone, and they're just not getting back to the receiver. They let Sharp set up at 12 yards downfield.
Both of the inside linebackers go to the other side of the field and leave that side wide open. That is certainly a mistake in the Raider defensive scheme. That is not the way Fred Whittingham drew it up.
Well, if it is,
I suspect that it's not.
Now Sharp operates out of the slot to keep it on the ground on first down. Terrell Davis into Oakland territory. Tackled by Albert Lewis.
Albert grabs his leg. Albert grabs his left leg at the conclusion of that play.
37-year-old Albert Lewis, so many years with Kansas City, and still is a fine cover cornerback.
Might have been one of his own guys hitting him at the conclusion of the play. Watch Albert. He kind of gets slingshot around here, but watch coming in from the left. One of his own guys coming right across there, hits him right on the knee.
And you can look at that again. You can see that a lot of cornerbacks and a lot of receivers don't wear any kind of knee pads whatsoever, and I think that's exactly what happened, Dan. He got hit by his own man.
I think Eric Turner, number 42, is... Yeah, there comes Turner. Watch him right here.
See, there is no knee covering at all on the part of Albert Lewis, and that's what they're looking at.
The 37-year-old Lewis, and the guy on the right is Larry Brown. The last time we saw Larry Brown, he was in that same position, but in a uniform on the bench. Then he was suspended. The Super Bowl MVP a couple of years ago with the 2 picks against Neil O'Donnell. Now he's back, but still on the inactive list. And Lewis able to trot off.
It's amazing. Brown gets 2 interceptions in that Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. Both the participants in those plays end up with huge contracts out of that.
Right.
O'Donnell gets a $25 million deal with the Jets. Larry Brown gets a huge one with the Raiders, and both of them end up on the bench.
Mm-hmm. And O'Donnell had a big day yesterday.
Yeah, he came up. Foley was hurt, so O'Donnell gets to play, but kind of ironic that both of those guys whose paths crossed in the Super Bowl both end up very wealthy, but riding the pine.
Broncos at the 49 for second down and 6. Elway fires, and that's incomplete. Intended for Rod Smith at the 40-yard line. Coverage by McDaniel. Terry McDaniel, the other cornerback, a first-round choice in 1988. The Raiders have stockpiled first-round choices, mainly other teams' first-round draft choices.
Where they have 18?
18 of them. Only 8 of those 18, though, were drafted by the Raiders. 3rd and 6.
They collect everyone who ever heard of them.
Elway throws, caught by Smith, and Smith loses the football, and will the fumble have created the first down?
Well, it's going to be close to it because they're going to allow him the yardage. He reached out with the football trying to get the first down, lost the ball, and they're apparently going to rule that he fumbled it and recovered it.
Well, the ground shouldn't cause a fumble.
And they're going to bring it back now.
But because he wasn't down by contact...
Well, I think there was contact. There was contact, so they should bring it back.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right. So they can say he's down by contact.
James Trapp. And there's the effort.
That's a dead play right
part
there.
of Rod Smith. And that's where it's dead.
Yeah, he should not get the yardage of the ball sliding forward. That play is over.
His reach did get the first down.
Yep, he still had enough with the extension to pick up the first down at the 42. Clock ticking for 20 to go in the half. 7-0 Denver. Davis, big opening, left side, slants his way down to the 32-yard line, and that's close to another first down, tackled by Beekert.
And this is the offense that the Denver fans have been used to over the past, well, the entire season. As a matter of fact, that's Terrell Davis running behind a line, an offensive line, Dan, that just slides along and creates a gap for him, and he finds it and turns it on.
And the pursuit of the Raider defense right now is lacking a lot. You see that it's 1 or 2 guys making a tackle, and there's not a lot of pursuit coming back from the inside. A very critical juncture right now for this Raider defense.
2nd and 1. You saw an agonizing Al Davis looking on as his Raiders are down by 7, and Elway converts here to Ed McCaffrey, the two Stanfordites combining for a first down, and Whittingham looks on as his defense gets pushed back to the 26.
McCaffrey looked at Elway and said, "Oh, baby, you had something on that one." He threw it behind him, had a lot of smoke on it. McCaffrey made a terrific catch.
And every Raider defensive lineman still on the line of scrimmage.
Look at this catch. This ball's got a lot on it. It's behind McCaffrey. That's the second superb catch he's made tonight. What hands?
The Raiders better get some pressure on Elway or they're in big trouble.
First down from the 26-yard line. Terrell Davis, new toe to the 16-yard line, tackled by Trapp.
That's the thing, Dan. If you can make them lead their protection against the run, rushing the passer, you're going to get big runs by Terrell Davis.
And right now you can see that Oakland is off balance defensively. Unsure of themselves what to do, not having a lot of success doing anything. Again, there's the zone blocking to the left. Davis has the option anywhere from the center to the tight end. Sees the hole open up over left guard, and away he goes.
First 10 at the 16-yard line. Elway scrambled and knocked down from behind. Good play by Chester McLaughlin to tackle him.
Yeah, Chester gets the push. That was a good job of Chester moving the pocket back. He made John Elway move, something that hasn't happened very often. It's not glamorous as a defensive tackle. You just put your head down and go. Look at that. Look at him scoot Brian Habib back. That, folks, is power.
2-minute warning. This is the NFL on ABC Sports. Terrell Davis now leading the league in rushing. Barry Sanders had been on top, and there it is, up to the second. 1,437 yards tonight, 11 carries to 37 yards and a touchdown.
And a very impressive 4.8 per carry.
2 minutes to go. Denver has all of its timeouts remaining. And it is second down, 13.
I think there's Brian Habib at right guard. Remember, he's the guy that got pushed back by Chester McLaughlin last time.
He's about 2 inches shorter.
Ball start on the offense, number 75. 5 yards, remains second down.
If I was Brian, I might have had some new cleats put on during the 2-minute warning there. He was trying to get the jump on old Chester there.
He's given away about 35 or 40 pounds, Dan.
That's an awful feeling. You try to freeze and disappear.
You know you're going to get hit.
There's nowhere to go.
On second and 18, Elway fires over the middle and almost picked off by Lionel Washington.
Oh, it should have been picked off. It was right in his hands.
And there's a flag down.
Well, Brian Habib better get some new cleats because he was doing the old boot scoot again.
Oh, and it's against the Raiders, and that's a first down.
What a killer.
After a second and 18.
Holding on the defense, number 53. 5 yards, automatic.
Rob Fredrickson. Oh, and that is a killer.
Well, Rob Fredrickson is really a good run-stuffing, run-playing linebacker. This is not what he wants to do, try to cover Shannon Sharp. And you saw him hook him around the shoulder pads there as Shannon tried to release. The Raiders are making it a lot tougher on themselves.
First down from the 19, and they try Davis to the right side, all the way to the end zone.
Boy, you could see that coming a mile away.
That's about the easiest one he'll have. But you're right, Dan. The Raiders defensively, their scheme of things is putting the wrong people in the wrong situations. And we've seen it all night long. We've seen little or no coverage on Shannon Sharp. When they did cover him, they're covering with linebackers.
And they get a good seal block. Obviously, they got good blocking at the line of scrimmage. But watch Ed McCaffrey come in from the right. He gets a seal block right there. They get a good lead block.
Well, that's like you draw it on the board.
Yeah, this is just an extremely well-executed play by the Broncos.
And Shannon Sharp laying down a block there to help spring it. Elam's kick just inside the goalpost. A little skirmish breaks out, but it's the Raiders and the Broncos. What else is new? A 21-gun salute, 14-0.
The Denver Broncos going 71 yards. They had a 2nd and 18, and then the holding call on Frederickson gave them a first down. Davis takes it in. 14-0 Broncos, trying to stay on top in the AFC West.
And they scored their first touchdown off a James Jeff fumble.
What is it? Mistakes are killing us. Elam kicks 2 yards into the end zone. Desmond Howard brings it back only to the 15-yard line, tackled by Detron Smith. Rusty Tillman not at all happy with that run back, and not only are the Raiders pinned deep, but they're down to their sole remaining timeout. A reminder, Monday Night Football live on the web, and you can cast your vote for the MVP of tonight's game in the Monday Night Online MVP poll, all on the web at abcmmf.com.
We look kind of .com-ish, don't we? Well, you do. I mean, you're
very calm. It's very placid and tranquil.
We dot the I's and cross the T's, don't we? No stone unturned.
That cordless mouse of ours.
Kind of a misty or musty-looking picture, though. 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. Little swing pass, and that's dropped by Napoleon Coffin. Wasn't going any place anyway. 2nd down and 10.
Jeff George, in my estimation, the best arm in the game today, and maybe best arm ever. I've heard other people say it, and it's just he's never ever kind of put it together. He had trouble at the collegiate level, and there's Ray Perkins, former head coach with the Giants in Alabama. He's the offensive coordinator, but he's getting a lot out of Jeff George, who has never ever put it together with any team yet.
2nd and 10.
He gets great numbers.
George throws off his back foot. That's tipped and incomplete, and there's a flag down. Tyrone Braxton got a hand on it. Broncos were in a similar position last week. Remember, they had a 13-0 lead at Kansas City and wound up losing the game.
You know, Jeff George just has an awful winning percentage as a starting quarterback.
On the offense, number 63. That fouls with 2. 3rd down.
Dan, he's 47 this year, and he's a 4th-rated quarterback in the league. They just don't win.
Oh, you're right. He's 34 and 61 as a starting quarterback. Only Archie Manning, a guy who played a lot of games, has a worse percentage, a winning percentage than Jeff George. But yet, Frank, when you look at how he's performed this year, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, how do you expect him to play much better?
3rd down and 10. This is the double whammy if they don't convert, because Denver's going to get the ball back with a lot of time, and that's what's going to happen. As Napoleon Coffin gets taken down at the 14, and now the Broncos can take a timeout if they prefer, and then you've got Elway coming out.
You find that a strange call, though? On 3rd and 10? I mean, Napoleon Coffin is a dangerous runner, but
it's goofy.
When they're running the football with the offensive lineman in an up position, the 2 tackles are in a 2-point stance. You see Lincoln Kennedy coming around, but that's just outstanding burst from the inside by Keith Traylor, a guy who used to play linebacker and now has grown into a 300-pound defensive tackle.
And a good one.
And a very good one. He's got an interception already this year that he's returned for a touchdown. Well, this is on the verge of being a disastrous couple of minutes here for the Raiders.
Well, it's the double whammy. It's a 3 and out inside 2 minutes. When you're down to 1 timeout, the other team has all of its timeouts.
We love this. Everybody back in Maryland. I love them. I see y'all soon.
They still love you back in Kansas City, Keith.
Well, Green Bay, he was up there for a while, too, in San Francisco. And then, as you said, Dan, he grew into a football player, a defensive lineman, and he is a good one. He's been cut by some good teams.
Yeah, Marty Schottenheimer got Keith acclimated on the defensive line.
Here's Araguza's kick.
A beauty.
Gordon hauls it into the 39. And Darian Gordon brings it back to the 50-yard line.
How nice is that?
Well, Beekert knocked him clear off his feet, and somehow or other, Gordon was able to spin completely around, stay erect, and get 6 or 7 yards out of it.
There is a flag down back at the 24-yard line, and this is a holding call post-kick.
And this is
against Denver.
A mini break that Joe Bugle's outfit can use. This will move Denver back 10 yards. get the impression that John Elway just walks into the huddle and goes, so what? What's 10 more yards?
Against Carswell. Well, a minute 18 and 2 timeouts for Elway. You might as well have a month.
John might be standing there going, well, hey, this is just a little bigger challenge.
And then with a 14-0 lead, though, I think you'll be really careful with it. That's a pretty comfortable lead to be going in at halftime.
Well, you go for the juggler.
Yeah, remember who they're playing, Frank. This is
have a point, but
the hated Raiders on the other side of the ball.
And of course, you have so much confidence that Elway, he knows the way the game is flowing, and he's not going to get it intercepted. At least if it's the head coach, Mike Shanahan, you're making the calls.
And with a couple timeouts, you're not afraid to give the ball to Terrell Davis.
First and 10 at the 28-yard line.
They're not limited to just throwing the football.
Single back, 3 wides, and the tight end, Shannon Sharp.
Elway out of the gun, 4-man Oakland rush. And they dump it off to Davis over the middle. And Terrell gets out of bounds as he nears midfield at the 45.
Safe stuff. And every time you watch an offensive team, when they put together an outstanding 2-minute drill, they've always had success on the first play. They make something big happen on the first play. And you can see what the Broncos do and have done when they're leading at halftime. And now what they're working on is padding that lead.
You saw that graphic. I think it's just the opposite for the Raiders when they trail at halftime.
First and 10 at the 45. In addition to that, the Broncos, a team that have won 14 consecutive regular season games at home. Sharp breaks a tackle. That nets him a first down, takes it to the 40-yard line.
Well, the Raiders right now are starting to embarrass themselves a little bit.
Timeout Denver.
With the way they're playing here. This is getting pretty sloppy for the guys from Oakland in terms of tackling and coverage. Defensively, this is a performance that better get better.
Well, this is a linebacker, Rob Fredrickson, and he's not going to want to look at this when they go back home.
No, he just slips and slides right off of Shannon Sharp.
Aerial photography tonight provided by Goodyear, #1 in tires. A look at Mile High Stadium, a relatively antiquated facility, and one that Pat Bowlen hopes will become manifestly antiquated in the next few years with a new stadium. Wednesday, there's the primetime lineup. Spin City, Dharma and Greg, the Drew Carey Show, Ellen in primetime live. Wednesday night, Roch Ear.
Thanksgiving,
Jenkins used to say.
Thanksgiving Eve, Wednesday night. Hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
First down at the 40-yard line. Elway going for Willie Green, who lays out but can't make the catch. Covered by Perry Carter. Second down.
Pretty good coverage, but that ball was just off the fingertips of Willie Green, the former Carolina wide receiver. Had a big year with Carolina a year ago and has really turned into a fine third down receiver here with Denver.
That's the second time tonight, though, that we've seen a fly pattern down the sideline. Willie Green locked up with Perry Carter, and Carter's been with him both times. But again, Green, a big receiver, and a superb throw by John Elway.
Those 2 wides are big. Yeah. 6'5" from McCaffrey, Willie Green 6'4".
Second and 10 with 56 seconds left in the half. Elway drops it again, loses the football, and the Raiders come up with the football. Lance Johnstone.
Who put Mazzolo oil on the ball?
Look at that.
Drops that twice.
And that is exactly what the Raiders needed to have any glimmer of hope in this one.
Well, we're going to see Jeff George air it out now. This is really bizarre.
Snap a little wide to the right. He loses it again, and right into the hands of Johnstone. Look at this.
That's why that thing is pointed on both ends and fat in the middle. Sometimes it's just hard to grab.
Now the Raiders with 1 timeout at the 50-yard line.
Oh, Tim Brown, where are you? He's in the slot.
Slot left on first down. Desmond Howard is in the game. Split wide right. George looks left, goes to Brown, makes a one-handed catch, but that's only a 3-yard game. Second and 7.
Well, no prevent defense being played there by Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator. He comes with the blitz right up the middle and makes George get rid of it in a hurry.
They did that last week against Kansas City and wound up losing on a 54-yard field goal right at the last minute to prevent defense giving up the yardage.
I like to see that. Come after him. Second down and 7.
George throws off his back foot, and open down the sideline was James Jett. Big gain to the 21-yard line. Covered by Darian Gordon, but he got position on him, and George put it right in there.
He put so much on that football. Darian Gordon wasn't that far off his receiver, man.
Falling backwards.
He's falling backwards, and he puts that on a string. What an arm.
What a talent.
I mean, you're a defensive back. I mean, you're allowing for some time for the ball to get there, and Darian Gordon just miscalculated the ability of Jeff George.
You're not supposed to be able to do that without being able to step into the football.
From the 21, first down. All kinds of action up front.
Well, Neil Smith is going to argue that there was a false start, and he may get the call.
False start on the offense, number 77. 5 yards, first down.
The best flincher in the league is Neil Smith, and he does his flinch. He gets Pat Harlow to give a little jerk in his stance. I can't even count the number of times. Watch Neil Smith. Right there.
There should be a stat for it, Dan.
Yeah, nobody in the league has drawn more offsides ever than Neil Smith.
Playing with a torn
He'll do it again. He'll do it again here. There he goes.
First and 15. Blitz picked up nicely by Williams, and then it is Howard who makes the catch. Nice play at the 20-yard line. Desmond making only his 3rd reception of the season.
That was good work by Harvey Williams. Take a look at the top of the screen, the top left coming around the corner.
Good job.
Darian Gordon coming in on the corner blitz, and he's leveled by Harvey Williams.
At the Bronco 19-yard line. Second down and 8. Again, the Raiders have 1 timeout.
Oh, there's another one. Now on the other side, we got Trevor Price. The rookie learns quickly, doesn't he?
Yep. Lester Holmes was moving for Oakland.
False start on the offense, number 71. 5 yards, still.
Trevor Price, number 93 for the Broncos, is their number 1 draft choice this year, and obviously he's been watching Neil Smith during practice. He gets Lester Holmes to get a false start.
On the offensive side of the damn, this is just discipline, isn't it?
Lower right, you see it right there. Yes, it is, Frank, but it's your nerves are frayed, you're behind, you're pressing,
The crowd noise.
Yep, all those factors come into play.
Second and 13 from the 24. George slips and then runs out of bounds at the 28-yard line. That's a loss, and they're in danger of getting themselves out of field goal range pretty quickly with a half a minute to go.
As an offensive lineman, when you're getting called for a lot of false starts in a situation like this, your best friend is the quarterback, that guy right there, because what he needs to do is just walk up, stick his hand under center, and take the snap. He needs to just walk up and get it. The longer you keep your offensive line in a set position in this type of a hostile environment, the more the chances of a false start increase.
Particularly, you're not even hearing the snap count.
Right.
And certainly at the tackle position, you're not.
You're on a silent snap count anyway. Just walk up, put your hands up right now, and go.
Third and 17. If they don't get a yard here, they're looking at a 46-yard field goal attempt. And George stays in bounds as long as he can. Finally, he's out at the 24. So now you're looking at about a 41 or 42-yard Cole Ford attempt.
Well, Cole Ford's got a 53-yarder to his credit so far this year, so this is well within his range. So,
well, credit the Denver defense, first of all, with good coverage. Jeff George, and he'll take a risk. He has so much confidence. There was the kind of coverage that he couldn't even find a place to risk throwing the football.
This is a team that will take a break, regardless of how small it is. Get 3 points on the board. It would be something for Joe Bugle to be positive about at halftime.
Ford to kick. Araguz puts it down. Adam True to snap it. And the kick would have been good from about 55. He boomed it. So they pick up 3. They cash in on the Elway fumble, and they stay in the game. Instead of going down 17-0 or maybe 21-0, which would have written an effective end to this game. Araguz does a nice job on the hold here, and they're back in it down by 11. 16 seconds to go in the half.
Something that's not easily done. It's something that's pretty much taken for granted is receiving the snap from center. You see that ball is low on the ground. Look how effectively Leo gets it. Puts the laces in the proper position. He made it look easy. It's not.
And Cole Ford is counting on the fact that he would get that ball into the upright position. It's great teamwork between kicker and holder, and the kickers, boy, they have their favorites too.
Remember how Franco always was the quarterback who was a holder. You know, the thinking was that he had the best hands. He was used to handling the ball all the time, and now more and more you see it's the kickers that hold for each other. It's the punter who ends up being the holder. It's because you can send him over on another field and let him go.
They have a chance to work all they want.
The Broncos,
it's been a while.
Randy Montgomery did it in 1972. The last kickoff return for a touchdown, and Cole Ford sends this one into the arms of Vaughn Heverin. He drops it and then downs it in the end zone. So
it's one of the reasons that they kick a lot of touchbacks up. They get a lot of touchbacks because of the high altitude here.
Broncos have 16 seconds, and for what it's worth, a timeout. Joe Bugle taking over when Mike White was fired last year after the 96 season.
John Elway so far this half sliding away. He's slipped a couple times, dropping back into protection, changed cleats early on.
And they'll run the clock out with a kneel down. And that will do it for the first half, as the Oakland Raiders are able to stay in it at the end. After the Elway fumble, the Ford field goal, it's halftime at Mile High Stadium with a score Denver 14, Oakland 3, and we'll go to New York and check with Chris.
All right, Al, thank you. Coming up on our Toyota halftime report, the Immaculate Redemption in Green Bay as the Packers beat the Cowboys. And biggest question in a lucky Week 13, who could go all the way? Jason Gunnett for Philadelphia as they upset Pittsburgh. Who else? We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
John Elway loosening up, though he will not see action for a few moments. Jeff George will, because Oakland gets the ball as we start the second half. Al Michaels with Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Lynn Swan in Denver, where the Broncos seek their 15th consecutive regular season home win, up by 11. Jason Elam to kick off. Desmond Howard backs up and kneels down in the end zone, 2 yards in. And the Oakland Raiders will take over from their own 20-yard line beginning this drive.
You know, if I'm Desmond Howard, I bring that ball out of there. You know, what are they paying him all that money for?
Exactly. I'm thinking he's the Super Bowl MVP, and that's, I think, what somebody said to Rusty Tillman on the way by just now. Numbers through the first 30 minutes.
He returned 190 yards, and in the Super Bowl, that's why he's here.
Each team has scored off an opponent's turnover. The big passing advantage goes to Denver, and that's reflected on the scoreboard.
First down from the 20. For what it's worth, the Raiders have been very proficient on their first drive of a second half this season. And George throws, and they begin with proficiency here, but then Brown fumbles the ball at the 44. And back comes Braxton, his second pickup of the night, but now they're going to say incomplete. No fumble. Ray Crockett stripped it, but Brown never had control. Huge break for Oakland.
He was pleading his case, and it's going to be very close. But they were looking right in. And no major complaints on either side of the ball. Take a look at a bullet of a pass by Jeff George. Does he control it?
49.
1 foot down? No, it's out. He has to control the football with both feet. It's down.
Things aren't going for you in a positive fashion when the best thing that can happen for you is that you drop the ball. A good job by Crockett of knocking it out, but Tim Brown has to hold on to that football.
Crockett's having some night at cornerback.
Well, he's put the tomahawk on both of them on a couple of balls tonight with his right hand, but you'd expect Tim Brown to hold on to that football.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. And George to throw again. Slipping again. Sack at the 10-yard line. It's a sack for Alfred Williams.
Another sack in Alfred.
I started to mention the Raiders' proficiency as they begin a second half. In the 11 games this year, they have scored a touchdown on 6 opening second half drives. But right now, to make it 7, they'd have to convert a 3rd down and 19 to begin with.
Jeff just went back and planted his right foot. Bill Musgrave looks on from the Raiders sideline, and it just scooted out from under him.
We'll get the call from Ray Perkins. It's a tough one. 3 down linemen for Denver. 8 men in the coverage.
Over the middle to Ricky Dudley, the tight end, but it's a short pass, and John Mobley makes the tackle, and it's 3 and out for the Raiders.
And it should set up good field position for Denver. Not a very impressive first possession.
Well, it certainly started out in what looked like an impressive fashion. George throwing it right into the breadbasket of Tim Brown, and he just not able to hold on to it. You wonder what type of a possession and what kind of a drive they put together if they start right off with a 25-yard pickup.
Leo Aragus to punt. High snap, and he comes down with it. Darian Gordon awaits it. Backing up. Fields at the 31. Look out. Look out. The 40. And the guy who leads the league in punt return average, in fact has the highest career average in NFL history, takes it to the 48 of the Raiders. That's where Denver takes over. 1st and 10.
Michael Jordan is CEO.
Tim Brown, and he was talking a moment ago with Fred Biletnikoff, the receivers coach for the Raiders, and I don't know whether it's so much that he didn't handle the football, but just a great play by Ray Crockett that knocked that ball loose a moment ago.
Denver from the Oakland 48-yard line. And this is Terrell Davis picking up a couple. And let's get an update from Lynn Swan. Lynn.
Well, I talked to Joe Bugos. He took off and went to the locker room, and he said the difference in the first half was not converting on 3rd down and the offense not possessing the football, leaving the team on the field too long. He said he intended to use more 3 wide receivers in the second half, but as you saw in that first drive, he still stuck to the two wide receivers, 1 tight end offense. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Joe Bugle. And defensively now, he's got a problem. Albert Lewis, a left knee sprain. His return is questionable. Perry Carter takes his spot. And it's Shannon Sharp wide open again. Inside the 30, and Sterling's younger brother all the way to the 20-yard line.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't we open the game this way with Shannon Sharp?
Well, they
get ignored. They covered him a couple times with the linebacker, and this time they were back in his own coverage and nobody picked him up.
Well, actually, Perry Carter, the corner, is locked up in man coverage, Frank, and on this one side, he's in man, and that's why there's such a huge soft spot to that side of the field. Carter's going to have his back turned. He's running all the way downfield. And then out in front, Rod Smith gets into James Trapp, and he just runs him back about 10 or 15 yards.
Now Davis, no gain on 1st down, 2nd and 10.
There's a lot of standing and staring going on right now.
They move Sharp around. He's not your ordinary tight end. We talked about it earlier. He is like a wide receiver, and they move him in and out of the line from the tight end position to a wide receiver. They put him in motion. They just move him around until they get the kind of coverage that you saw a moment ago, or the lack of it.
2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. Oakland blitz. Elway hangs in. Elway over the middle. Shannon Sharp again, all the way to the 10-yard line.
Good blitz click up.
Close to a first.
Terrell Davis stepping up with a good block, and Sharp a little slow getting up.
And it is a 1st down.
John Elway right up there to have a word with Sharp, checking on him.
Boy, when you come with that many people, the quarterback is not supposed to be able to step into his throw.
And the Broncos going without a huddle here as Sharp comes out. No huddle offense. Terrell Davis, who scored twice tonight, gets halfway to the goal line, and the flag comes in. Sharp has caught 7 balls tonight for 117 yards.
On the way they're covering him, he'll catch 17.
The face mask infraction apparently going to be the call.
Personal foul. Face mask on the defense, number 53. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
Rob Fredrickson having a tough night. Terrell Davis with the ball. You'll see it on the left side of your screen. And Davis just banged into Fredrickson, knocked him backwards. Fredrickson just reached out and grabbed something. Instinct. He had to reach out and he came up with the face mask.
Now first and goal, Davis.
Well, he runs big, doesn't he? He only goes about 210, but he runs like 230.
There's your hat trick. 3 touchdowns.
And that is your basic in-your-face drive. We're good, and you're not.
Again, compounded by mistakes on the defense and penalties. They had it all.
Then they went to a no-huddle offense to kind of get re-energized. And 4 minutes in, they extend their lead, and they'll make it 21-3 on an Elam conversion. And they're up by 18. TD of the initials. How appropriate.
ABC's NFL Monday Night Football, brought to you by the NASDAQ stock market. The NASDAQ Composite Index closed today at 1586.99.
And we're back in Denver, where the Broncos, in quest of a 15th consecutive regular season home win, have extended their advantage to 18 points. And Jason Elam to kick off. Desmond Howard from the 1-yard line. Tackled at the 19. Good coverage. Tony Veland, the reserve defensive back. Rick Dennison, a mini smile as he looks on there. And at the 19-yard line, it'll be first down for Oakland. Again, the Skins game featuring Tiger Woods, Tom Lehman, Mark O'Meara, Fred Couples, following college football on Saturday. And then we go to the Metrodome in Minneapolis next Monday night. Great matchup on Monday Night Football. The Packers, who always have a very difficult time in Minnesota, against the Vikings.
They made a bit of a statement yesterday, didn't they, at home at Lambeau and crushing the Cowboys.
Right. Minnesota coming off its loss to the Jets. Vital game for the Vikes. From the 19-yard line, George guns one up to the 29-yard line. It is caught by Tim Brown, despite the coverage of Tyrone Braxton.
Again, what a throw by Jeff George. Flushed out of the pocket, running to his right, throws back across his body. All arm motion, and yet he still had a lot on it.
I think Jeff demonstrating that he is a lot more than just a pocket quarterback. He's a nimble guy. Even though he's big, he has wonderful pocket awareness. He runs to throw. He's looking for an opportunity when he is running, but he is a very nimble guy, much more so than a lot of people think.
He has a great presence back there. He seems to sense when he's in trouble. He's not all that athletic, as you said, Dan, but he's just a great presence about himself in the pocket. Or when he's flushed out. But what an arm. Taking a look at the measurement. He actually saved what could have been a possible sack, or having to throw it away by just being able to strong arm that ball across his body.
Second down and a short one with 10:29 to go here in the third quarter.
By the time we're done with him, Frank, he'll be the greatest quarterback that ever played.
Particularly when it's down 21-3. Wait for the whistle. And I do marvel at his arm. I've said that from the very beginning, the first time I saw him.
Hoffman. And it's John Mobley, second year from Kutztown, in Pennsylvania, same school that produced Andre Reed. And this is a guy they had very high hopes for when they drafted him, and he's the kind of guy that looks as if he'll be making a few trips to Honolulu.
I think it was a first-round draft pick, and Dan touched on it earlier. He plays all over the football field. He's not that big, 200 and 3,500, but he just is such a fine athlete.
Well, look at the change of direction there. That's a play where he's overrunning the play. Most guys can't react back to it the way he did to get an arm around the head of Kaufman and bring him down.
3rd down and 1. Here's Kaufman again, and he can't pick up the first
ball
down,
close.
loses the football.
And Mobley hit him. I think John Mobley was the first guy there. He was pursuing him right down the line, and
Denver ball.
wow. The Raiders again misfire.
Mike Lodish came out of the pile with the football, but another big play by Mobley.
Well, one of the things Mobley has is just awesome straightaway speed. And there he is coming from behind.
And no question it was a fumble.
Yep.
Mobley again coming up big on a Monday night. He had a huge game the last time the Broncos played in a Monday nighter against New England in early October.
Would you like to bet that Elway will try to put this one into the end zone? Good way to put this game away.
From the 25-yard line. Elway under pressure, throws, caught at the 20-yard line, turns nothing into something. Shannon Sharp back in the game, makes the catch. Eric Turner makes the tackle. 8 catches for Sharp.
Speaking of presence under pressure, John Elway sliding, slipping, and saving what could have been a sack. Gets a few yards on it.
You're asking an awful lot of your coverage people to lock up on somebody for 6 or 7 seconds.
And that's what John brings to this game, too. Such agility, keeps it alive. If you think you got him, you'll slide and slip, either throw or run the ball.
That's one of the reasons Denver is 9-2 going into this game.
Here's Davis on 2nd and 5.
They haven't been behind the turnover differential once this year. And they're a +1 so far in this game.
Taking care of the football.
All good football teams take care of the football. That's what's such an aberration about what Buffalo was doing for a while there when they were actually, they were 5-5 and they were like a -16 or some obscene
-19, yeah, before the Miami game, but the chickens have come home to roost.
Yes, they have.
No huddle offense again.
3rd down and 3. Elway guns it inside the 10, but incomplete, intended for Willie Green.
This no huddle might actually be called the no mercy offense. I wonder how many teams Mike Shanahan would attempt to do this to other than the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders have been rotating defensive linemen in and out of the lineup trying to get pressure, and when you go no huddle, you take that away from them.
36-yard field goal attempt.
Now, the Raiders don't need to jump off sides here. But you never know.
Tom Ruin puts it down, and Elam's kick is over the top of the upright, but they say inside, and good. And so another Oakland turnover. More Denver points. Broncos 24, Raiders 3. Happy crowd, obviously, in Denver, where their Broncos lead by 3 touchdowns. And Elam's kick, a yard into the end zone. Desmond Howard. Oh, what a price he pays at the 18-yard line. And there's a flag down. Dwayne Carswell.
Carswell goes about 260. We talked about it earlier, a big man, and he put a major hurting on Desmond Howard.
Boy, and Desmond didn't see him coming. He's kind of screened behind one of Desmond's own guys. And on top of it all, the Raiders get marched back half the distance because of a penalty.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 89. 10 yards, first down.
So the juggernaut coming down the field at 260 pounds. And you're right, Dan. Desmond Howard didn't even know which house hit him.
Chad Levitt, one of the fullbacks, was attempting to block him, and Rick Dennison, the special teams coach, this will get you fired up, Rick. You want it? Oh, I love my job.
Better you out there than me, but I love my job.
Stadium is rocking. This old Richter set is about a 4-3 on the Richter scale. And it is caught by Kenny Shedd, who makes his first catch of the evening up at the 21-yard line for a first down. And now the Raiders will go without a huddle.
Another fine throw by Jeff George. Under pressure, off balance. Still got it thrown into the coverage, actually. And a good catch by Shedd.
The entire Raider team was offsides. Barrett Robbins forgot to snap the ball.
Before the snap, false start on the offense. 5 yards, first down.
Raiders approaching double figures in penalties tonight.
Actually, I think that's Curtis Whitley. We've got a new center in the ball game. Curtis Whitley, number 66, was the Raider center who decided not to snap it when everybody else was expecting it. So, Barrett Robbins, you're off the hook.
First and 15. 9 penalties tonight against the Raiders. Here's Harvey Williams up to the 22-yard line. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Chrysler, engineered to be great cars. Miller Lite, now the official beer sponsor of the NFL, and Taco Bell. Want some?
At the end of it?
That's it. That's what it says. Second down and 9. And that's caught by James Jett, but he is stopped about 2 yards shy of the first down. Al Davis getting ready to star in the Howard Hughes story, looking on. He's looking more and more like Howard Hughes, isn't he?
Not ready to implode tonight. His team struggling on both sides of the ball, making mistakes, penalties, fumble.
Third down and 3. George throws an incomplete, intended for Harvey Williams. Well, if anybody loves this, it's Mike Shanahan, who's trying to beat the Raiders for the 5th time in his 6 games as a head coach in this series. But he and Al Davis still have this thing going. It's one of the sidebar stories, which we'll detail after the break. The $250,000 that is still owed to Mike by the Raider organization. And Al Davis, in effect, has said, fat chance. If you want it, come and sue me in court. Just litigate, baby. Araguz's kick. Will be down to the 33 where the Broncos take over.
I guess this pretty much rules you out, Al, from ever doing the Raiders home radio.
I believe so. Or road. And the Denver Broncos take over at the 33-yard line. 5:54 to go in the third quarter. Broncos dominating and leading by 21. Away from the 33. Out. Pattern. McCaffrey makes the catch. Out of bounds at the 39-yard line.
Ed McCaffrey with the big first half 2 long catches from Elway, and here is the ball boy for the Denver Broncos. And he's got the Mile High salute.
And still the Broncos go without a huddle, keeping a lot of pressure on the Raiders defensively.
Second and 4. Here's Terrell Davis, and he gets tackled at the line of scrimmage, knifing through Chester McLaughlin. McLaughlin is the only Raider drafted in the 1990s who has made the Pro Bowl. The only one.
One of the few first-round draft picks they still have that they picked themselves.
And, we mentioned earlier about the fact that the Raiders have 18 former number 1 draft choices on their roster. Remember, that's not necessarily a ticket to success. We saw the Dolphins a couple years ago that had 19 on Don Shula's last team, and what a disaster that was.
Third and 4, and Sharp makes the catch and has enough for a first down.
season high in receptions for Shannon. That's 9 tonight.
Lionel Washington on the stop, very low on Shannon Sharp, who's had some leg problems, and he takes a shot right down around the knees by Lionel Washington. Rolls with it, though. And again, the no-huddle offense, and once again, it keeps the Raiders from changing the personnel that they would like to change. They were alternating at the very beginning of this game, defensive linemen, in order to keep fresh people in there.
Davis for 3 to the 47-yard line. Have a look now at tonight's Monday Night Football Fact, presented by Prudential. The Broncos with 30 or more points in each of their last 5 home games. The NFL record set by the Chargers in their first season, 1960, the end of that year, and then the beginning of the next year when they moved from Los Angeles to San Diego. And Broncos tonight trying to tack on one more, make it 6. Sharp makes his 10th catch, breaks a couple of tackles, takes it to the Oakland 38-yard line.
Great presence on the part of Sharp, knowing where he is on the field. He looked up for a moment like he was going to dive for the first down. He was in between 2 Raiders and then saw that he could pick up more yardage, kept his feet, and indeed do just that.
Rob Fredrickson has to be one of the most frustrated guys out here, chasing Shannon Sharp all over the football field. Fredrickson will come in. You'll see him dive right there. He's not able to corral Sharp.
It's a terrible scheme, Dan.
Tough assignment.
He's had him individual coverage all night long.
Elway going for Green, and there's all kinds of contact. No flag. Perry Carter back there. He's trying to get offensive interference.
And just good coverage by Carter. He's done that all night, too.
He has.
He's really been the one Raider out there that's performed in excellence.
It's hard. It's been hard to praise a lot of guys in the silver and black tonight, but Perry Carter definitely deserves it.
He came in for an Albert Lewis, who went out with it was described as a sprained knee or a bruised knee.
It's a 2nd down and 10 out of the shotgun. Elway throws over the middle. This time it's Terrell Davis. Rod Smith tries to get out of the way, and Davis is a little short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and a yard or so.
He was trying to get it. Excuse me, Al. He was trying to get it. He was slipping, too. A lot of slipping on this field tonight. We've seen a lot of players go to longer cleats. That time, Terrell Davis planting his left foot, loses it in his effort to get the first down.
3rd and 1 from the 29. Inside handoff to Davis, and he gets stopped in the backfield. Ron Holmberg is there, along with Andre Bruce, to set up a 4th down. And with a 21-point lead, Shanahan, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for it here.
Well, I think if Al didn't owe him that $250,000, he wouldn't go for it.
Yep. Well, the league ruled in an arbitration hearing that he was owed, Shanahan, $250,000 by the Raiders. As we say, Davis has in effect told Shanahan, hey, if you want it, sue me. It'll cost you $1 million. And that's knocked down on 4th down.
Oh, and Elway,
the flag goes down.
Elway's knocked down late.
And Anthony Smith will have committed just about the ultimate penalty for a defensive guy. And if it is, and it will be,
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 94 of the defense. 15 yards.
That's the equivalent of a turnover when you have a team that doesn't convert on 4th down and then you give them the ball again. That won't show up in the turnover category.
Nope. That's a pretty close call. I mean, I think it's the fact that he got his helmet in there. He really was trying to pull up on it, but as he pulled up, he got the helmet to the head of John Elway, and that's, I'm sure, what drew the flag.
10 penalties against Oakland for 68 yards. From the 15, Elway throws. That's caught by Smith. Dives in. Touchdown.
Guys' arms are going to get tired saluting.
And there's the 30-point mark. 6 straight home games. So instead of Oakland's ball, the penalty, the payoff,
And we're going on 31-3 with the extra point.
Practically all of these points have come either through turnover or mistake on the part of the Raiders.
Right. 10 penalties, including the last one to cost them a touchdown. As we said at the top, I think so much for pride and poise. Broncos 31, Raiders 3. This is a thumping. Broncos, last year's AFC West champions, and they're trying to stay in front of Kansas City with a victory tonight, and they have one about 17 minutes and 1 second away because they're on top 31-3.
Great look tonight, as always, from our ABC crew. Kenny Wolf producing, Craig Janoff directing, and the guys and the gals that have been bringing you this show for the last 28 years.
Elam kicking off. Desmond Howard up to the 20-yard line. Here comes the T-boy.
Will there be a salute? Can you imagine how much fun that has to be?
I wonder how many sevens are running around Denver. You walk around the city and that's all you see are sevens. But then Casual 84.
Yep. Yeah. This is John Elway's town, and deservedly so. And really, the sports, this has evolved into a wonderful sports town with the Avalanche and the Rockies and everybody else. But they all owe it to the success of the Denver Broncos when they started here back in the 60s. The Broncos launched it all.
I noticed the way you left out the Nuggets, at least for the moment.
Well,
from the 20-yard line.
We are working from top to bottom.
Yes, we are. Tim Brown makes the catch. Speaking of the Rockies, Larry Walker is in your shot right there. Profile of Larry, the National League most valuable player.
Didn't he actually hit more home runs on the road than he hit here at home?
He did. And they kept talking about what an advantage. And it is an advantage, obviously, to play half of your games in Coors Field. But Larry is the complete package.
Think about John Elway. It's rapidly becoming Mike Shanahan's town, too. They've really embraced him, and what a fine job he's done now in his third year.
And he's the guy, you'll recall, when Dan Reeves was fired, Mike could have had the job 2 years earlier, but turned it down.
Didn't you used to do baseball?
Yep, we used to have baseball here on ABC. 31-yard line, Harvey Williams makes the catch. Many moons ago. As many moons as it was since Washington State's been to the Rose Bowl, seemingly.
Yeah, we were figuring out, was it 700 and some moons?
A lot of moons.
1931 was the last time that the Palouseites went to Pasadena. Is that what you call people from Pullman, Palouseites?
It's a good question.
What do they call the area? Is it the Palouseian area?
The Pelusians?
Pelusians. I like Pelusians.
Pelusinonians?
First down from the 30-yard line as George throws off his back foot. Williams makes the catch. It is a short gain up to the 22.
That's still a fine throw by number 3, Jeff George. He had Steve Atwater right in his face, and he still was able to just strong arm it and get the completion.
You know, we were talking about Shanahan's town and the Shanahan-Davis story, and the Raiders are contending, even though the arbitrator ruled against them, that Shanahan perjured himself. So that's their take on it, perjured himself in the testimony. But in a game of one-upsmanship last week, Shanahan said, forget the $250 for me, give it to the Oakland School District.
Was he heard back?
No response yet. Flag down. Brown up to the 35-yard line. Mobley makes the tackle.
The amazing thing about this is we're not even to the fourth quarter yet.
We'll be there very shortly.
There's no foul on the play. All the action was legal. Third down.
We're in the sideline of a 4-7 team with an extraordinary amount of talent on it, which is tough when you change coaches, you change coordinators, and you're bringing new players in. There's such little consistency to this team.
Third quarter is over. Denver 31, Oakland 3. Monday Night Football resumes after this from our ABC station. Denver to start the fourth quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan. The Broncos on top, 31-3, trying to go another game without a home loss and make their record 10-2. Oakland begins on a 3rd down and 5 with Jeff George throwing, and it is caught inbounds by Tim Brown. First down up at the 45-yard line. And George comes up limping.
Well, he gets hit over on the sideline. Keith Traylor, again, showing that remarkable speed for a 300-pound defensive tackle. Chases Jeff George all the way to the sideline, and hits Jeff just as he throws the football. Perfectly legal.
Talked about it earlier, Dan. He started out in this game as a linebacker. A lot of agility, and he put on quite a bit of weight, and he still has the speed and the quickness. And when a big man like Traylor hits you, you're going to go down, even with an arm.
From the 45 on first down. George gets pressured. Sacked back at the 27 by Steve Atwater. Now that's a safety blitz. That is a 17-yard sack by a safety.
That's a safety and a half blitz.
Now the Raiders had everyone in the pattern, and Denver, probably an automatic blitz off that formation. They come from a cornerback, and they also bring Atwater right up the middle, and nobody even touched him.
Yeah, it's really kind of a delayed blitz. Atwater is surveying the situation, checking his pass responsibilities first. Call that a green dog, and then he sees an opening and goes.
Officially an 18-yard sack, 2nd and 28. Dumped off over the middle to Kaufman, and he gets tackled by Alan Aldridge. The linebacker staying right with him.
Good open field tackle. When you do that to Napoleon Kaufman, you've made a good play.
Greg Robinson, the relatively unheralded defensive coordinator of the Broncos, who really does a terrific job.
Worked with Pete Carroll with the Jets for 3 years, and here I guess because Pete Carroll did the kind of job he did with the 49ers, and Mike Shanahan liked what they did, and he's done a fine job here.
Coming with only a 3-man pass rush here. Going to drop 8.
3rd down and 23 from the 32.
Not much you can do other than throw underneath and hope for a run.
Now off the hands of Kenny Shedd, and they're lucky it wasn't picked off by Ray Crockett. And Ray shaking a bit. So 4th down, and the Broncos can begin to work on the clock when they get the ball with a 28-point cushion, and a look ahead to a trip to San Diego next week. Broncos play their next 3 on the road: San Diego, Pittsburgh, and then San Francisco on a Monday night. Fair catch called for by Gordon at the 29-yard line. 12:51 left in the 4th. Denver 31, Oakland 3.
Right now from the 29, shotgun formation. Quarterback shotgun.
Stampede tomorrow night, 2 a.m.
First, a Call 6 investigation. Now tonight, there is trouble inside a jail. It is an exclusive story you will see only on 6 News. And as more men exercise, a new disorder sweeps gyms. That story after football.
In Denver, the Broncos on top 31-3 at Mile High Stadium. From the 30-yard line, first down for the Bronx. Caffrey in motion, trailed by Carter. Terrell Davis. Flag is thrown, 8-yard gain. Straight from Plymouth. Let's check in with Mr. Lynn Swanee.
Well, Al, you know, you talk about rivalries. Let me give you a great example of how this rivalry has grown and how intense it is. It's in the fourth quarter. It's 31-3, a commanding lead by the Broncos. It's a night, although clear, getting colder. Look in the stands. You don't see a single person leaving the field, leaving this game, because the fans want to see more points. They want to see a dominating, aggressive win by their Broncos, and they want to stay the whole game, not just till the end of the third quarter, Al.
Savoring each and every moment. It's been a spirited rivalry through the years. And the Broncos actually have another rivalry now that is at least the equal of this one, and that's the one with the Chiefs.
Boy, that one's heating up.
Yeah, which has really turned nasty. The penalty, meanwhile, was against Denver. It's 1st and 20, and now 2nd and 20. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Nissan. It reminds you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. The Home Depot, America's home improvement coach. Sprint PCs. Experience the clear alternative to cellular today. And Pepsid AC Asset Controller. You can be heartburn-free with Pepsid AC.
Well, it's obvious that the Broncos really listened to Mike Shanahan when he talked about the importance of tonight's game. If they'd have lost this game, they'd have fallen back into a tie with the Chiefs, but they actually have a worse division record than Kansas City. They'd have actually been behind Kansas City. As Al mentioned, with those tough road games coming up, especially at Pittsburgh and at San Francisco, if they'd have lost this game to Oakland, all of a sudden you're not talking about home field advantage. You're talking about even winning your division for the Denver Broncos. This was a monster game for them.
Denver, after that Pittsburgh game at San Francisco on a Monday night. That's the 15th of December. What a night that'll be, too, because Joe Montana will have his number retired at halftime that night. And then Jacksonville will close out its season at Oakland, while San Diego comes here to close out its year against Denver. Caught by Davis. Up to the 33, but well short of the first down.
And for the Raiders, from this point on, it is a case of getting ready for 1998, because this all but completely eliminates them from the playoff picture. At 4-8, they'd have to win their remaining 4 just to get back to 8-8.
Well, you've been there, Dan. Those
takes an extraordinary set of circumstances to make the playoffs at 8-8.
Tough games for a lot of guys on this team with a lot of pride. They're going to have to finish out this season, and it's not easy.
No, I have been there, and I have had to do that, and it is the toughest part of this job.
Tom Ruin. Bearcats called for, made by Howard at the 26-yard line with 10:48 left in the fourth. In the Mile High City, Broncos lead 31-3, and there is a marker down at the 22-yard line. So the band will stop the band. Stop the band. Stop the band.
Okay, good.
Mike Carey has to make the call. He's the drum major. We have had 2 punts without flags. It's a personal foul, and it's against the Broncos. And they're marking it off.
Yes. Personal foul on the receiving team, on the kicking team, number 33. After the fair catch, a blow to the head. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Actually, Desmond kind of gives him a little nudge first, Dedrick Dodge. But then he, as always, the second guy gets caught. He slapped Desmond across the back of the head. That's 15.
And the band plays on.
Most economic conditions going into this looked favorable. Profits are rising. The bond market is up. Consumer spending and business capital spending are strong. The federal deficit is at its lowest reading since 1974. New home sales are at a high. You can never tell what's going to happen way ahead, but there's no reason to think, based on anything we know, that we're headed for a big problem.
The new wizard.
Remove grout.
Clean a golf club. Sharpen tools.
Cut right through this groove! Soon your TV will have over 500 channels. Almost enough to show you everything the new wizard can do. The new wizard, built by Black & Decker.
In a perfect world, your cooking would taste more like your mom's.
Woohoo!
In the real world, Diet Dr. Pepper does taste more like regular Dr. Pepper. It's the taste you've been looking for.
If you're looking for a tough, dependable truck, you should take a closer look at the new Nissan Frontier. It now has more horsepower than Ranger, Tacoma, and S10. It also has a bigger cargo bed than all three, a smoother ride, and lots of features for a surprisingly low price. The rugged new Nissan Frontier. Come check it out for yourself.
Dogs of trucks. Drew is getting his old band back together for a rock and roll showdown.
You suck!
Haven't played a single note.
I'm judging you as a human being.
Wednesday on ABC.
Thanksgiving upcoming on Thursday. A Mile High salute.
Turkeys from Vermont.
Yeah. From the 41-yard line, the Raiders down by 28. George under pressure. Throws incomplete. Second down and 10.
Had to throw it away. Darian Gordon coming in from the corner. So George again buying a little time, but had to throw it off away.
Night before Thanksgiving, take a look at the lineup. Spin City, Dharma, and Greg, the Drew Carey Show. Ellen in prime time live. Your lineup right here on ABC. ESPN's Sunday night game. These Broncos head to San Diego to try to remain on top in the AFC West. And then we will be at the Metrodome. A beauty next Monday night. Green Bay at Minnesota. Second and 10 from the 41-yard line. George, incomplete. Ricky Dudley was the intended recipient.
Good protection on the part of the Oakland Raiders offensive line, and the Denver down linemen were rushing down. They just got hammered and kind of gave up, and Jeff George had a full 6 or 7 seconds there.
Yeah, well, that was excellent protection under the most trying of circumstances. The defense of the running game has been completely abandoned by Denver. This is when playing on an offensive football team is less than a fun time.
Third down 10 on the ground. Harvey Williams, and he picks up the first down, crossing into Bronco territory to the 46-yard line. John Tierlink, the defensive line coach. Late flag has come in at the end of the play. There was some pushy-shovey taking place. And we have a personal foul against the Broncos.
Ooh, the second one in the last couple of minutes on Denver.
Yeah. We saw Romanowski involved in some action.
Personal foul on the defense, number 53, a blow to the face, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
Number 53, Romanowski, and the Broncos will be backed up, and John Mobley has come off, and they're looking at his right shoulder on the sidelines.
Curtis Whitley came over and gave Romanowski a shot, and then Bill really unwisely retaliates with a shot to the face.
So Denver has now got more penalty yardage assessed against it than has Oakland, even though Oakland has won the actual penalty
contest, as it were.
Denver losing their poise a little bit.
Yeah. 1st and 10. And now 2nd and 10. Intended for James Jett. But the Broncos still with a commitment to excellence.
Well, they certainly are translating that into a pretty solid performance on the football field, Al.
Defensively now, they've also started to do a lot of blitzing, anticipating, of course, George throwing the ball every play with the occasional draw. That's what to do when you trail 31-3.
2nd and 10. Here's Kaufman. And Napoleon is inside the 20 and all the way down to the 10, where he's finally corralled by Darius Johnson. Kaufman at 227 yards on the ground against the Broncos on October 19th.
And this is what Mike Shanahan will tell you why the Denver rushing defense has such poor statistics. That late in a ball game, when they've got it put away, people break big runs against them. That's exactly what Napoleon Kaufman did right there.
Well, they've given up an average of over 5 yards per carry, but that's the reason. The draw plays will get big yardage at the end of a game.
1st and 10 just outside the 10. They can get a first down without getting a touchdown.
They're right out of time.
Unbelievable. Get a big run from Kaufman. They have a 1st and 10 just outside the 10. And they're backed up for delay of game.
Throughout this game, though, Joe Bugle on the sidelines has been, you can see him trying to hurry up the call that comes down from Ray Perkins and then is relayed in by Bill Musgrave.
Can you ever recall, though, seeing a season like this year where we've seen so much inability by almost every team in the league to get plays called in time?
Happens a lot. Look at this. They almost get flagged again. Shovel to Harvey Williams. It's the old Lee Gross Cup Utah pass.
Oh, Lee had that down, too. It's the shovel pass. A former number 1 draft pick for the Giants, teammate of mine, great Raiders fan. Thinking of the future, too. You're always optimistic.
Imagine we'll see the Cupper when we're out in the Bay Area.
You know we will.
Next month.
2nd down and 8 from the 9-yard line. George pressured. He's all the way back to the 35 before he dumps it off.
He needed all that arm strength just to get that ball back somewhere close to the line of scrimmage, which is one of the mandatories in throwing the football away. Once you've moved outside that pocket area, you can't just spike it into the ground. You got to get it back to the line of scrimmage. Jeff had to work at it that time.
Mike Lodish chasing him all the way back. 3rd down and 8. George to the end zone. Too high. Intended for James Jett.
Too well covered.
Darius Johnson with him.
Jeff George came in with a pretty good quarterback rating at 92.8, 4th in the league. And he's 20 of 37 tonight, 174 yards.
Jett makes his little move to the inside.
Good move. And there's a little hole.
Darius Johnson gets the old right arm in and I would say impedes the progress of James Jett. That could have easily drawn a flag. Got away with it.
4th down and 8 at the 9-yard line. Here comes everybody. And the ball winds up in Aurora. And Denver takes over on downs. 7:49 left. Mile High is rocking. They love it. Denver dominance. Live, Brett
Favre and the Packers meet the Minnesota Vikings on ABC's Monday Night Football. Bring on the game now!
Reminder, you can cast your Pro Bowl ballot for your favorite players online. Now at Team NFL on America Online is on first down with the backup unit now in. Derek Lavelle, the former 49er, picks up a first down, and there it is. It's the America Online keyword ABC Sports. Tap in and tap on and ballot.
Other than the obvious candidates, John Mobley, I think, the Denver linebacker.
John Elway takes the bow. Right on top of it there, Dan, suggesting that John get a little breather in his advanced years.
A little curtain call. Jeff Lewis is in the game from the 22-yard line. And Derek Lavelle, who backs up Terrell Davis. And when you back up Terrell Davis, you just don't see very much action. Well, the last time we saw Oakland on a Monday night, you'll recall it was Andre Rison who made this catch at the end of the game to defeat Oakland. And have you ever seen a coach look more stricken than Joe Bugel?
I think this game doesn't hurt. Just watch what happened losing on that final play in a game that he thought he had won. The week before, they'd come back twice against Tennessee, only to lose that. Off to a 0-2 start, and it really hurt.
First half from the 28-yard line is Lavelle. Puts it up to the 31.
You look at the way Oakland started the season, that overtime loss to Tennessee, and then that back-breaking loss to Kansas City. They come back, they beat Atlanta in week 3, and then they end up losing by a single point to the Jets in week 4. When you look back at this 97 season for the Raiders, a lot of what-ifs. We wouldn't have blown a couple of those early games and could have maybe gotten off to a 3-1 start or something like that, and all of a sudden the attitude of the team is entirely different. Where would they be now? Unfortunately, all that matters is where are they now, and that is out of the 97 race.
They don't get a lot of sympathy either.
Lewis throws, and that's nearly picked off, incomplete. Eric Turner was there. Well, the first time these two teams met, it was an Oakland victory. It was Denver's first loss on the 19th, and in sort of a mock gesture, the players had done it, and then Joe Bugel at the end of the game contends he was scratching his forehead, but you make the call. A little bit of a mile-high salute of his own.
Well, I think that's kind of all part of the game, kind of fun. Certainly nothing to be incensed over, I wouldn't think.
But it served as a little bit more red meat for the Broncos coming into this one. Tom Ruin's kick. Fair catch called for, made by Desmond Howard. And Oakland will have it there with 5:25 left in regulation. All Bronx. And you take a look at that graphic up in the right-hand corner. Our friends at Discrete Logic and Silicon Graphics coming up with that. Nice little look right there. Denver leading 31-3 in the fourth quarter. As Oakland has it from the 28-yard line on first down, and Jeff George. Flag thrown off the hand of Tim Brown. Second down.
Well, that's got to be holding.
It is.
Trying to protect your quarterback when the defense knows you're going to throw the football is very difficult.
Holding on the offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Curtis Whitley, who replaced Barrett Robbins. About the toughest duty an offensive lineman can have, I would say, Dan. When they know you have to throw it, they just pin their ears back and come.
They sure do, and it is. But you know what? It's part of the job. If you get the gravy of getting to run block when you're up 31-3, sometimes you have to take this. It goes hand in hand.
First and 20. James Jett.
He might have hurt himself.
Yeah.
Again, slipping on this turf.
He looked like his leg just buckled. It didn't even look like a slip as much as it was a...
Yeah, and he's going out here, too.
It just gave out. Jett will catch this ball, make his break to the middle after he goes. And
he might have hypered it.
Yeah, look, he did have a little slippage. It did give way a couple inches. But something stretched a little too much when it happened.
2nd and 13 from the 25. Brown takes a shot from the rear by Darius Johnson.
One thing about Tim Brown, he'll be back. This guy can take it.
A few years ago, Brown almost wound up here. Signed an offer sheet with Denver that Oakland had to match.
Timmy Brown rapidly approaching 600 receptions. Been a great career.
3rd down and 9 from the 29-yard line. 4 minutes left. And it's Harvey Williams up to the 32-yard line. 4th down.
You know, all of us here at ABC, we want to extend our condolences and our prayers to one of the great players of all time, Jim Otto, the Hall of Fame center for the Raiders. 2 weeks ago, his 39-year-old daughter, Jennifer Otto Smith, went in for surgery and complications arose and she died. And Jim and his family have just been grief-stricken. And we just want you to know that all of us here, we think about you.
That's to Jim and to his wife, Sally, and the husband of his daughter with 4 children. As on 4th down, George's pass is incomplete. Intended for Kenny Shedd, and Denver will take over on downs.
Glenn Cadres put quite a hit on Jeff George, and that's what all that pushing is about. Some of the Raiders took umbrage to it, but he tried to pull up, and nevertheless he flattened him.
Short. Must think this is the Jacksonville game.
Oh, comes Cadres from the top of your screen. He really tried to pull up on it, but still gave Jeff George quite a shot.
So now 1st down for the Denver Broncos at the 32-yard line with Lewis at quarterback. And Lavelle in the backfield. Derek Lavelle probes the right side and goes nowhere. He's tackled by Darrell Russell. This rivalry so intense through the years, blowouts like this are infrequent. The only time the Raiders lost to Denver by 28 or more points go all the way back to 1962 when the Broncos with the vertical socks beat Oakland 44-7.
Those might have been the worst looking uniforms of all time.
Meanwhile, they have new uniforms this year. There was a lot of talk about these and the change before the season, but they've grown on they've grown on people. They really have. On some people. Derek Lavelle tackled at the 35. It used to be, as you recall, orange was the primary color.
Terrell Davis, he recaptured the NFL rushing lead tonight, but he didn't get his 100-yard game. Once again, Oakland holds him under 100 yards. 3 touchdowns, though, and John Elway with just another win. He's started and won more football games than anyone in the history of the National Football League, and he's been a great credit to this game.
They'll begin to file out, but they have remained in the look of a winner. The smiling Shanahan at the 2-minute warning, as the Broncos will remain in first in the AFC West. 2 minutes remaining. Ken Wolf, our illustrious producer, completing his 12th season, and the game so brilliantly directed as always by Craig Janoff. And our crack crew with Joey Chavo at the controls with the nimble fingers. Ben Harvey, the associate producer. Jaime Bravo is our AD, as they say in television land. Robbie Weiss. And to Robbie, we wish him the very best as he will end his tenure on this package tonight. Claude Phipps and Hal Schmitz helping to send out all of the sights and sounds from Denver and places beyond. Chris Pfeiffer and Bill Boland, as always, a great job Steve Hurt is still on the inactive list, but back next week, listed as probable. Alex Stern, Tommy Hurt, we thank you for the assistance in the interim.
Oh, with Robbie Weiss.
Yep.
A lot of luck in his future. I've worked with him all over the world. He's quite a young man.
And a nice job all the way down the line with everybody on the crew and engineering. And good luck, guys.
Yep.
Robbie actually going to work for the NFL and over in international affairs, and of course the World League growing each year. That'll be a part of it.
And with 2 minutes to go, the Broncos wrapping it up. Little fake toss, and then Lewis falls down, slips down, and a gift sack for Darrell Russell. And to Kim Bauer controlling the kennel up here, our statistician George Hill, and our spotter Malibu Kelly Hayes.
And there are bones littered all over this kennel.
Kelly working the Rose Bowl this year.
Yes, he is, as Kelly Hayes.
Oh, you are, right, Dan?
I'll be there.
That's right.
Who knows what I'll be doing, but I'll be there.
Well, you're going to go to the parade, aren't you? Take that in.
It's a thorn in his side right now.
Oh, this is
on fourth down. This is Lavelle inside the 30, and he takes it to the 25-yard line, but not enough for the first down. And the Raiders will take over on downs. So the Denver Broncos, a team we will see once more 3 weeks from tonight in San Francisco. Will this be the year? Will this be the year the Broncos win their first Super Bowl? That's been the question, of course. A team that's been there 4 times.
So painful last year, Al. And first round of the playoffs, they had it locked up for so long. We talked about that earlier. And Jacksonville comes into the wild card, knocks them off 30-27, and that was not a fluke. Jacksonville, of course, going all the way to the NFC Championship, but it was a stunning disappointment for owner Pat Bowlen and that man Mike Shanahan and all of the Broncos and all of this city.
And if the Broncos do win the Super Bowl, or if any AFC team does win it, it will be the first AFC win in the big game since the Raiders after the 83 campaign. And this is Tim Hall. And the greatness of the Raiders clearly in the past. Packers and the Vikings. That's our game next Monday night at 9 Eastern time, per usual. Great rivalry, huge game. Vikings stumbling now, having lost 2 straight, but they can move back into a first-place tie with a win.
The Raiders quite content to help run the clock out.
Well, who could blame them?
At this point, just get on the charger.
You don't want to get anybody hurt.
Ball again. And you've got, well,
Bronco land.
Horses reel and imagine.
Well, they were the studs tonight, or the Broncos. Yes, sir. A full salute.
And you really feel for Joe Bugle, one of the really good guys in the NFL. This is not the rookie year that he imagined taking over at the helm of the Raiders.
I don't think anyone imagined it with the personnel they brought in.
And the Broncos go to 10-2 as they win at 31-3, and we'll wrap it up from Denver in a moment.
Goes Shannon Sharp was with me. 10 catches, 142 yards, and did they mean anything? Yes, of course they did. They're terrific catches.
Yeah, they did. We got an opportunity to work one-on-one with the linebacker, and we kind of figured that if they played with a linebacker, I was going to be a big focal point. And John was seeing me all night. I ran some pretty good routes, but John was throwing the ball on the money, and the offensive line did a great job for protecting him.
Were you beating those linebackers that bad, or was it just an empty zone coverage? Sometimes we couldn't even get a man in the same picture with you.
Well, they played some zone, and fortunately, we had the right call for their zone. And when they played man, when they blitzed the guy, they were so far back offside, I was just breaking the route off and catching it and getting an opportunity to run. And, like I said, Mike and Gary called a great game, and John was finding me. And once we get in the zone early on, I know he's going to come to me.
I know it's a big emotional win. It always is when you play the Raiders. Thank you for spending a little time with us, Jim.
Thanks, Lynn, for having me on.
Okay. Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. So the Broncos are dominant tonight. They win by a score of 31-3. And next Monday, good one from Minneapolis, as the Green Bay Packers take on the Minnesota Vikings. Until then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan saying good night from Denver.